All right, we are live. Hello, chat, everybody on Twitch or watching the VOD on YouTube. It's your boy Shaheener coming at you with the first ever live Pokemon Babblers podcast. And of course, as always, I'm joined by my co-host Bono.
Hey.
And for the first time, we are joined by fellow streamer, artist, graphic designer, YouTuber as well, and just talent in general, MrJoelyOly, right over here to my left.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So, before we get started, I just want to give everybody a heads up. Major spoiler warnings. If you haven't played Scarlet and Violet, if you don't want to be spoiled, click off the video right now or the stream. But we're going to be probably spicing and like peppering in stuff. So, it's going to be a lot of spoilers and things that haven't been officially shown by the Pokemon Company. It's just things that people have found. But yeah, with that being said, Joel, do you want to give us your introduction on how you got into Pokemon, your journey till here?
Yeah, sure. So it was probably like a year after Crystal came out, way back in 2001-ish. That was my first Pokemon game, but everyone that I knew had played Red and Blue. I was kind of a poor kid, so I didn't have any video games growing up.
Yeah.
But it was after 2001, I got Crystal at some point, and I was obsessed with it. And it was the only game I had for the longest time. But I kind of like dropped off after that, and I missed Gen 3. I missed out on Gen 4, and when I graduated high school, I bought a DS and I played Black and White, and I just got back into it. And since then, I've been kind of a nerd for it. But it's sort of a guilty pleasure for me, but I don't care.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Completely understandable.
Yeah, absolutely. Is I remember like falling out of like love with Pokemon and all that stuff, and then at the end of Gen 4, like Platinum, when that came out, then that's when I started getting back into it. But I really got obsessed with Black and White when they came out. So that was around like I think like 2011. Yeah.
Yeah, those are great games.
Absolutely. But oh, you know what? I should probably pull up the notes as well. Let me get my Discord up
Amateur
over
hour.
here.
Amateur hour here. We've done
I'm
14 videos.
I know we've done 14 babblers so far, and I'm definitely messing up. And especially for those that are watching, you're really seeing like a lot of the imperfections and flubs and stuff right now. But
Well, somebody that never gave up on the series and is probably going to play till deathbed. I could never. I could never
yeah,
understand.
yeah, sure. Okay, so basically these games were announced in 2022. So this year they're announced on Pokemon Day, which is February 27th. And the reason why they have it on February 27th, and that's why it's Pokemon Day, is because that's when the original red and green versions came out in Japan. And so they announced it on that day, and it came out, well, one week ago from today, which is November 18th, 2022.
Completely blindsided everybody, by the way.
Yeah.
The announcement, because that when they rolled that trailer, I was literally like, "Oh, it's Detective Pikachu 2." Nope. Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, I thought that it was gonna be like the port, or it was gonna be like something else. I was not expecting them to go straight into Gen 9 because we literally just got Legends Arceus, and then like not even a month later, they're like, "Oh yeah, Gen 9's happening." So,
Yeah, I was not expecting that at all.
It was a turbulent time because it was BDSP, and then 3 months later we got Arceus, and then a month after that, guess what? Gen 9 coming in November.
Yeah, and also it's like I feel like that their PR campaign for this game, like just putting out the trailers and getting people hyped up, I feel like that this might have been one of the best ones so far. Seems to be one of the most successful. Because even then, like there's just a news article that came out where this Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are the fastest selling Nintendo games of the whole Nintendo history. Not even just for Pokemon, but for Nintendo history. It sold 10 million copies in 3 days. That's just absolutely absurd. And
biggest video game launch in the world history.
Yeah,
In contrast, I believe God of War Ragnarok sold only 5 million.
That's insane. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, get wrecked. Holy shit.
Yeah, get wrecked, nerd.
And I believe even with that 5 million, that's just for the PlayStation exclusive. That's not just being, the most sold video game of all time in such a short span of time.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, do we just get a sub right now? Hold up.
Oh.
Yo. Game Dad TV sent us a follow. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Yeah.
That's my buddy.
Strap in, get a drink, get some popcorn,
cheers.
And just listen to three dudes
talking about
Pokemon.
Games for children.
Grown ass man.
Yeah, my voice is kind of messed up right now, so I'll have my cup of tea. But
all right.
yeah, so this is what they consider the first truly open world game, where people thought of that for Legends, but it really wasn't open world. It was like open area. But
It was more self-contained than this one.
Yeah, because this one is way more of an actual open world, for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we'll really get into the flaws at some point.
I mean, we got to the announcement, but we could also go over the stuff that happened like leading up to it. We did get like a sprinkling of stuff from here from February until release.
Yeah.
But not as much as like you think it would. Like I don't think we ever got like a full reveal of what the starters evolve into before launch.
And I kind of appreciate that, and I think they did that with Sword and Shield, where they didn't reveal the starter evolutions until like maybe a couple of weeks after.
Yeah.
But they didn't blow their load on a lot of things in this game, which is great, because I was like surprised like left and right, like what is that thing? What is that thing?
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the trailers
really cool.
were like, oh, well, what is the enhance the 32 pixel picture of what Cloth is in the back.
Exactly, and that's something as well. Where like I feel like that we did that in our analysis of the trailers, which is also on the YouTube channel if you want to check those out. But yeah, right. So I feel like that we were like over analyzing it. Maybe it's because this is just a franchise we just know and love, and we want to know every little facet of it because we're already familiar with all the features 9 generations in. So finding out what's kept in, what's being introduced, all that stuff, we just want to know everything. And even then with the Pokemon, they're like we didn't know like what's gonna evolve into what. It was just like maybe it's a single stage, maybe it evolves from something, maybe it evolves into something. They gave us pretty much nothing. And the only thing that I felt like I was just kind of confused about the whole time is about them revealing so early and how much usage you get out of the legendary Pokemon, which are the Pokemon in the box art, Koraidon and Miraidon. And it seemed like that it's like a lot of the other times that the legendaries are just shrouded in mystery. You don't really know what they're going to be doing within the game or what their purpose is. And with this one, it's like, oh yeah, they're there and they're with you the whole time. And it almost took out some of the mystique. Yeah, it was kind of strange.
That's something I was pretty critical of in the trailers leading up to release. But like as we go through gameplay and how tied to the story it is, I honestly don't mind it, especially because my biggest gripe was like, are you going to use it right away? Is it going to be like a level 5 or like the level, was it level 5 Jirachi and BDSP or the level 5 Mew?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like please don't give me a 600 base stat Pokemon before I have a badge. So it was great. I enjoyed it. But also from there, they only revealed, I'd say like maybe 20 Pokemon if I'm remembering off the top of my head. The starters, Palmy, Bellybolt,
Titan,
Titan.
Yeah, like there's only so many of them, and of course they got to have the meme potential with Lechonk. Yeah, they knew what they were doing with that one too. Straight up, they knew what they were doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They also did the tie-in with Pokemon Go with Gimmighoul. They didn't reveal Golden Go, but they did get Gimmighoul in its different forms.
Yeah. I mean, I don't play Pokemon Go myself, but do you guys know if they brought out Gimmighoul into Pokemon Go already?
They did, but it's non-catchable. It's just the one that you find like just hanging out by itself with the coin.
Yeah.
If you spin a Pokestop and you get a coin, it'll follow you around for a little bit.
Oh, gotcha. I thought that's the one that you catch.
No, they might tie it in later, but as far as I know, you can't catch it.
Maybe when Pokemon Home gets updated for Scarlet and Violet, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. But, well, what did you guys pick as a starter between Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley?
Joel?
Yeah.
So I got both copies, and I started Violet on stream, and I had people actually vote for me, because I was kind of undecided at that point. I regret that I picked Quaxley, so for Scarlet I picked Fuecoco.
Yeah,
just like everyone else.
That's a thinking person's choice right there for sure. Yeah, I definitely picked Fuecoco. I mean, I like that one right away. And I kept on saying throughout all of our Babblers as well is that Fuecoco is going to be Fire Ghost at the end, and I was right on that shit. Like I was right. Good call. Skeledirge, which I kept on forgetting. I kept on calling it Skeleridge, which it just seems to flow off the tongue a little bit better, but it's Skeledirge. But yeah, Bono, you picked Weedcat, didn't you? Or did you pick Quaxley?
I ended up picking Sprigatito. Yeah. I liked Quaxley, but when I saw the final evolutions before the game launched, I wasn't feeling any of them.
Yeah.
That's kind of flopped now. I kind of like the Flora. I don't know. Remember what its name is.
Florigato.
Florigato and Skeledirge. I don't like Quack Squall.
Yeah, quack quack.
And
Yeah, quack waffle.
whatever it's called. That's how much you know I don't like it. But I loved all the beginning formula starters, and I fully intend to hunt them at some point to get their shinies. But yeah, I picked the Sprigatito, evolved it, and then caught a bunch of other Pokemon and forgot about it. Put it right in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I always keep my starter. I mean, even if it's just completely butt ugly, I always have it on there. I feel weird just like throwing it in a box. I just feel like that there's something about them that just sticks out more than the other ones. I don't know. It's just like supposed to be your buddy, your companion, and just throwing it in a box just seems a little bit like it's not my pace. I guess.
The game doesn't care. They'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you and your Toedscrew are such a good pair," and I'm like, "Yeah, they said something about that about my Weed Cat,
Yeah.
like 40 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's in a box and nobody cares about it."
It reminds me of a cashier that I was being helped by a few weeks ago at a grocery store, and I heard them with the person in front of me that they're like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" The person's like, "Oh, I'm good. How are you?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm great now that you're here." I'm like, "Oh, that's nice for them to say." And I go up and he says the exact same thing. I'm like, "Am I a joke to you? Or am I just another number? I want this to be real. I don't want to feel left out, you know what I mean?"
I put it away. It was replaced by Toedscrew.
Toedscrew, grass ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I still am trying to formulate my opinions on a lot of the Pokemon. And yeah, this is still just like a first impressions kind of thing. So we still have to have some time to sit with it. But this is only a week after the games came out.
Well, as somebody that's caught in them all already,
Nice flex.
nice flex. Yeah. I'd say most of them were okay. A lot of them were. I'd say they weren't a home run, but they were definitely like they hit the ball, and some of them are okay.
Yeah.
The problem I have, my biggest problem, is that there's just 4 Paldean forms. Wooper,
right.
and then all 3 Tauros, and that's it. And it's just
Oh,
like,
really?
did the last 2 games, Arceus and or last 3, you know, Sun and Moon, Arceus, Sword and Shield, were we forgetting about regional forms now, or what's going on?
It's like they're trying to replace it with the newly introduced Paradox Pokemon almost. But even
Which
then,
we'll
it's
get
like,
to.
yeah, it's just weird because they usually give us so many of them, but it almost seems like they're just trying to phase them out.
It's like heavily balanced on one side toward to the other, which I appreciate the one on one side, but I feel like maybe we could get fleshed out a little bit more in maybe DLC. But I feel for like at launch, only having 4 is kind of off, like not even 10.
Yeah.
Not to mention one of them evolves, and then the other all 3 Paldean Taurus are just separate forms that don't look distinct, and are just.
I only found out about that like 2 hours ago. I ran into like a water Tauros. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
What's going on?
wait, how do you find them? Is it like
It's
just
if
show
you
up?
tweak the encounter power, it's also pretty rare on its own, but if you do encounter power fire or water, you can generally get them to spawn.
Oh, cool. I just fought a trainer that had one, and I was like, that's different.
Nice. Yeah. So I only encountered that's just standard. It's just standard fighting, right? Or is it
The regular one's standard fighting, and then it's fire, water, fire, fighting.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Yeah.
the fire fighting is exclusive to Scarlet, and fire water is exclusive to Violet.
You mean fighting water?
Oh,
Or fighting water, yeah, my bad.
Interesting. That yeah, okay. So what else?
Interesting choice, but it doesn't really like flesh them out. Like I said, at the end of the day, there's only still 4 Pokemon.
Exactly. But I mean, overall, I didn't hate any of the Pokemon just right away, and that's the funny thing, because usually there's something that I hate right away, like a Bruxish or a Stunfisk or Blipbug. But this one, I don't think I hated anything just immediately, which is really surprising to me. How'd you feel about the Pokemon you've seen so far, Joel?
Yeah, I think like with every gen, there's like a handful that I'm like, I'm not going to use that. With this one, I'm pleasantly surprised with the designs. My main issue is how some of them don't really change when they evolve. The one that Palmy, or the dolphin one, I can't remember its name right now.
Finizen.
That's a prime example.
Yeah.
Dunsparce even, but the one that I hated the most, not intentional, but I have a little flamingo light in the back.
You didn't like
That
Flamigo?
one, I was intrigued until I found out that it couldn't evolve. But when I first saw it, I was like, it's just a flamingo? And then I saw its name and was like, okay, that's a little too lazy for me.
No, it's your friend, man. It's a Flamigo. Me and my Flamigos over here.
what
If
bothered me
if you
about it,
evolved, maybe.
Yeah.
yeah, what bothered me about it is that you catch it like in the first area before you even go to the school, and
Mhm.
it's like number 300 and something in the Pokedex, and the Dex is only
Right.
400. So you're
Right.
catching a beginning Pokemon that's like at the very end of the Dex,
Yeah,
which
and I
leads me to
keep
believe
seeing
like
it now too.
right,
Mhm.
which
Because
leads me
it
to believe like
shows
is
up
it
all the time.
strong? Does it do something? But it doesn't. It's just
Isn't it just
fighting
pure?
fire like bird.
Is it just? Oh, is it just pure fighting, or is it fighting flying?
I'm pretty sure it's fighting flying. Let me check.
Yeah, it's like a Halucha, but it's more like
Mhm.
a support with all those like
Oh.
weird mimicky moves and copycat and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've never been a technician, like a technical kind of
Hmm.
battler. I'm just pure offense and speed. I think that maybe is why Darmanitan is my favorite of all time. It's just I
Yeah.
just like just brute forcing everything and just beating the shit out of it. Like I loved using Tinkaton. Tinkaton was one of my favorites just because like with its move Gigaton Hammer it just fucking smashes everything like Gallagher and a watermelon. I love it. Or even a Glamora I ended up using, and I really, really liked using that one. It was just more of like, I think it was the last second edition of my team. Because my final team when I beat the
Yeah,
game,
flying
it
fighting.
was, yeah. My final team was, it was Skeledirge, it was Glamora, I had, oh god, shit. I had 3 shiny Pokemon that I just found randomly.
Alright.
Like
Yeah,
I found,
nice.
yeah. Yo, thank you for the follow, whomsoever that was. Let me check to see who that was.
I did an outbreak
A
earlier
butter
today, and I
pat?
managed to get
Oh, Butterpat, that's a buddy of mine.
Room.
Yeah, I got a shiny Oinkologne that I named Mayhem. I had
I
a
saw that. That's so cool.
that was just lucky. It was like within the first like 30 minutes of streaming on the second day. And I went to go find a Pokemon to replace no, it was somebody else. I think Lokix. I was trying to replace Lokix. And I was going to go get a Kilowatt Trell, the electric flying type. And literally on my way over to where it's at, I found a shiny Gyarados. And 5 or 10 minutes after that, I found a shiny Veluza right away. And
Holy shit.
so my team was just very heavily swayed towards water types. I had Gyarados, which was named Shenron, and I had Veluza, which was named Pescado. I wish I
Nice.
had more balance on my team. I wish I had like a
Yeah.
Toad's Cruel or a Kilowatt Trail or something.
Yeah, I'm using what's his name? Houndstone and Skeledirge. I'm like, that's maybe too much ghost, but at this point I don't care. Like with the story, it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, and you'll be getting someone to replace it anytime soon, anyways. It's like a retail employee;
Mhm.
everybody's replaceable.
Pretty much.
I did what I said I would do. I used Team GNG, Gyarados, and Gengar.
Yeah.
I also got Toad's Cruel, Annihilate, and Magnezone was the 5th. I only used 5 Pokemon because my goal was to catch them all and get the Pokedex completed. So that 6th spot I always needed open to train something up.
Oh, that makes
Yes.
sense. That's efficiency right there. That's a
Yeah.
process that's been curated for 24 years.
Yeah, it's like
has.
you've played this game before.
Yeah.
Almost.
Bono, do you by chance have a second Switch that is not connected to the internet?
Do I have one? No, I do not.
Press X to doubt.
No, like I don't.
Yeah. No, but anyways, so we mentioned that this is an open world game. And
Oh, are you asking how I completed it? I went to this Discord that I was on has a like trading hub, and I was like, literally, I was just sitting there at midnight, like I'm just gonna finish this. Like I'm willing to trade version exclusives. Who needs that? Somebody help me.
Am I a joke to you?
I still need them. You can
Uh-huh.
trade them to me, but I needed to like just get the decks completed. I was like, I can't.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because Bono's been asking me to like trade him the version exclusives, and I thought that these were gonna be ones that you were gonna like. I don't know. Maybe I thought like with the other Discord that you were keeping those ones instead of trading them back. I was like,
No. They traded. The people traded traded all the version exclusives. So for Violet, it's Bagon, Dreepy, Gulpin, Ice Cube, Simeon. There's one I'm forgetting, but it really doesn't matter. Somebody gave me a Bagon and a Dreepy, and the ones I needed to evolve. Misdreavus.
Yeah.
And then I just what they call a touch trade is where you trade and trade back.
right.
I did those for all the paradoxes, and then that was it.
Okay, gotcha. So, yeah, basically with this game, so open world, and you could pretty much go wherever you want. I mean, if you could kind of cheese it on some places, but they really have a plan for you, it seems like, that they kind of want to lightly guide you to certain areas because the levels don't fluctuate based on how many badges you have, They're just going to be the same set levels no matter what. So if you're going in, like, you can go over to the 8th gym and get that badge in the Victory Road storyline, but you're going to have a struggle with it unless you're really just kind of level up your team. And
Right.
also with the badges, that'll dictate how the Pokemon are going to obey you like in other games. But with this one, it's a matter of what level you catch them at. So if you catch a Pokemon that's at level 20 and you don't have the and your badge requirements are like only Pokemon that are caught at level 15 or below will obey you, then that one's just not going to obey you until you get that respective badge.
Right.
So there's
Which kind of seems in contrast to what they sold us on in the trailer, where they're like, pick your own adventure, the Titan, the thing. And I think we called it on the trailer because it's like they had the different colors, and I believe the footage for each was like the Elite or the Gym Path, the Titans, and the Team Star stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, a way around it that I was thinking about it very recently is because when you do each of the stories, you get obviously your 8 gym badges, and then when you do the Titans, you also get like a little made up badge from your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Team Star, you also get like another made up badge that they have for their little team.
Mm-hmm.
So when you check your profile and you do them all, you should have around 18 badges.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like to get around like the level cap thing, they could have instituted like some sort of system with like the gym badges. Like, okay, if you have 3 badges in total of the 18, then Pokemon under level 30 will listen to you. Not just specifically the gym badges do that. Because if you go by how they do it, you definitely want to do at least 3 gyms, then maybe a Team Star thing, and then the Titan. Kind of feels like you could do the Titans and Team Star in whatever order you want, but you do have to have the gyms going forward. Like, you can't skip them.
Mm-hmm. What way did you go with it, Joel? In terms of like the badges and distribution of that, were you kind of just going equal, or were you focused on one over the other?
So when I started with Violet, I went west, did the Bug Gym, eventually up to Water. I didn't play Violet for much before I switched over to Scarlet, but I went the opposite way, but then cut across and just kind of went back. So I did sort of like I guess a U-shaped type of thing. And then from there, I had gotten all the Titans, so I'm just kind of going to wherever I need to go now, so I can just fly around. And which I don't like that it just gets tougher the more north you go. I wish it was more open world. I can just choose wherever I want to go.
Yeah.
That'd be a little more interesting to me.
Exactly. Yeah, I wish it was like that too, or at least if they scaled to your level, that would be nice. I mean, at least for me, I feel like I would have wanted to prioritize the Path of Titans, which I kind of did, but also if I'm trying to level up my Pokemon or catch them and I want to battle the next Titan, then I was at a disadvantage because of the obeying. So I had to go back to the gyms and then go back over to the Titans and kind of do that. And I peppered in some of the Team Star stuff on the side, but I think I ended up beating all of them around the same time. But the Titans I felt like was the most useful, because once you get your ride Pokemon to be able to traverse the landscape, then everything just fell into place after that.
Yeah, it's way easier to actually move around once you have everything.
Exactly. So from there, so we were talking about it a little bit. So your ride Pokemon is actually the legendary, so Koraidon or Miraidon, and you rescue them from they got attacked in some way. They came in from some wormhole, and you rescue them, save them. Yeah, exactly. And they seem to appreciate you and respect you, but their power is practically depleted. All you could do is basically ride on them like a bicycle or like some other creature, I guess. Because Koraidon, for some reason, doesn't use the wheel on its throat. It just runs around like some fucking Flintstones vehicle. Yeah, but Miraidon, like an intellectual piece of equipment over there, you get to ride on like a motorcycle. Hence the name's Koraidon
like a soulless
and
machine.
Miraidon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, like a machine.
Like
Machines. So, yeah, basically all you can do is ride on it, and then you get to power up more with these certain items called the Herba Mystica.
HMs.
Yeah, HMs, essentially.
Exactly. Herba Mystica, acronym HMs. Coincidence? I think not. Checkmate, Game Freak.
So,
one of the only clever things they did with this game.
On three different paths, and what's funny is that like in the terms of the story, like you sign up for the school, everybody gave at least all the adults gave a chuckle when your mom's like, "Oh, go upstairs. I need to talk to this strange new man that just walked into our house."
Yeah.
And you come back, and obviously you go through the whole stuff. You meet your first rival, Nimona, and then you go to school, and then you actually they don't show it, but the cutscene you actually stay at school. You get into your little dorm room. It's like completely empty. Then like they say a week goes by, it's still completely empty except for like a calendar and a couple of books you put up on the shelves,
Yeah.
which really kind of sells you on like the whole going to school thing. And then they sent you on what's called the treasure hunt, which is kind of like a self-study kind of thing. Like you explore the region, do whatever you want to find the thing that you want to do, and then you kind of get folded into all this stuff. Like Nimona puts you on the Victory Road. Arvin, who you meet after you rescue the legendary, kind of puts you on the path of the legends, which is the Titans. And as you know, you do that, and then you also get contacted by this mysterious person on your phone called Cassiopeia, who wants you to take down Team Star, who you also meet before you go to school, who are just a rambunctious group of people who are like
They're bullies.
Bullies, yeah.
Yeah. Pieces of
And
shit.
so your treasure hunt is encompassing all three of those adventures. And like the game says, you can try them in any order, but like as we reiterated, you really have to do the gyms.
It's not a do what makes you happy, it's do what makes us happy. But we're gonna make it seem like it's the other way around.
I mean, I tried to do it as much as I could. I think I did for the first 3 gyms. I did a gym, a Titan, and then the Team Star thing.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got to the 3rd gym, I realized obviously I was going to run out because there's 8 gyms, but there's only 5 Titans and 5 Team Star bases.
Yeah.
So then I did gyms 4 through 6, just one after the other. And then gym 7 and 8, I did the gym, then Team Star, and then the Titan.
Yeah, I kind of tried to pace it out a little bit later on, like you mentioned too, where it's like every couple gyms I'd do a Team Star and Titan and do that. But I think I ended the Titan stuff sooner than the others, just because I wanted to have all the equipment ready with Miraidon.
Right.
Yeah, I think if someone's playing this game for maybe the second time and you want to be more efficient, it's like do as many Titans as you can, get those out of the way, gyms, and then the Team Star base is like, what do you get? Like just crafting materials? Like what's
It's
the reward?
The TMs. TMs is what you get for after that.
Okay.
Is the schematics at least.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, those don't seem as important to me, but the story's kind of interesting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I really, at first I was like, oh, this story seems kind of lame, but as I kept going through it, amid all the other stuff this game has, I was like, I kind of feel like this story, I told Alex because he hasn't gotten there yet, but I feel like this story is like touching Black and White.
Yeah.
In terms of like quality. I'm not. It's. I'll leave it to the community to decide whether or not it's better. But I feel like at least this is more of a story than Sword Shield. They actually thought this story out from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, they really did flesh out the story. Because at first I thought it was like, oh, it's just gonna be like another like, oh, you're at school kind of thing, like any other like school animes and stuff. But no, it's like the story. I feel like that like really digs a little bit more. I mean, it's still a Pokemon game at the end of the day. But it's not as campy and as corny as the previous Pokemon games. Like, I feel like Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon, and especially X and Y, were really just campy on the story and is very, like, self-aware. I mean, this one has some goofy moments, but it's not as silly.
Like with Arvin and his little puppy friend, like I was like,
oh,
am I gonna cry? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like I don't know whether to laugh or to cry right now, and I felt like, I definitely felt like crying. Bono has not been able to experience the feeling of sadness with this.
I've never owned a pet, so when Arvin started crying with the dog, I was kind of just like, okay, I mean, it's cool, you want to save the dog, but I started to like more of the Team Star story, especially towards the end. I really liked the package, how it's delivered to you, like how the story is given to you in like battle. Year ago, what happened, you have to like piece together what happens. It's not like like Oscar worthy or like M. Night Shyamalan twist levels of like oh, I wonder what happened, but you do get like some of the details, and then as it comes you start to piece it together towards the end.
Is it a better story than God of War, No,
definitly not. I feel like for a Pokemon game it's way better than anything we've gotten in terms of that.
Absolutely. So those are all the good things that we have to say about the game. But
Right.
Yeah, here we go. No.
Yeah, all the good things I could say without like getting into super spoilers. But yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Alex. Fire off about the graphical glitches.
You know what? Let's just get it out of the way. This game runs like dog shit.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
sugarcoat it because, like, yeah, it's embarrassing. I've been saying it since Gen 8. Game Freak does not know how to optimize their games. Like, it's not even like the hardware's fault. It's not anything like that. It's just like, I mean, Bono, you've been going through game development classes and like learning coding and stuff like that. Like, you could probably like make this more efficient and run more efficient than Game Freak could. The biggest media franchise ever, by the way, annual revenue of $120 billion a year.
Yeah, this game sold 10 million copies in 3 days. 10 million at $60 a pop is like upwards of $600 million.
Yeah, it's absolutely just ridiculous of how much money they make, and they still put out such a garbage product like this. And it's really also partly our fault for buying into all of it, because it's like, everybody says like online, like, oh, vote with your wallet. If you don't want it, don't buy it, don't pre-order it. But it's like,
it doesn't matter.
But it's also like there's the masses that are already going for it, so it's kind of a moot point. And also, you don't want to feel like you're missing out because it's Pokemon. Like, everybody's gonna be playing it, so it's like it's that fear of missing out as well. But we're kind of stuck in that vicious cycle where they could put out stuff like this, we're still gonna buy it, and we're also gonna complain about it. It's like, what is that phrase? You can't have your cake, like, beggars can't be choosers, or not Stockholm syndrome, because, well, I guess, yeah, it kind of is Stockholm syndrome. You kind of grow to love your abuser by being stuck in captivity for too long, and Game Freak is really our abuser at this point.
Yeah, obviously we'll never know what happened. I kind of feel like they kind of like cheaped out on getting like a quality assurance people, like hiring quality assurance people, and there's like, release it, they'll come out with their problems, and then we'll do a patch at some point later down the line.
Yeah,
but this game has like way too many glitches and stuff like that.
It's hard to say what the biggest problem is, because I know like Pokemon Company, just as like an umbrella company, like has a demand. So maybe Game Freak are overworked and understaffed. Like, that might be the main part of this, but
and
it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, and they seem to have split their development team. Like, at least from what I was reading, I don't know how much validity there is to it, but I heard that they allocated some developers to work on Legends, and in tandem they had people to work on Scarlet and Violet. So maybe because they had less people working on one project, they kind of tried to do both. I'm guessing with like project management, it makes sense to like have two like processes at the same time. And also, it's like stuff like this that makes Legends look amazing, and it runs so well. And there's some things like quality of life improvements they had on Legends that didn't translate over to Scarlet and Violet, which is really strange. I feel like especially like the efficiency of battling when you go into one-on-one battle, it was so quick and snappy on Legends that in Scarlet and Violet, it just like it kind of reeled it back to how the previous games went. It just seems a little bit more sluggish compared to that. Maybe I just got a little bit more used to how Legends played, but this just seems almost archaic compared to it.
Yeah, there are some like minor quality of life improvements, but with the battling, like they could have done so much more. And you can't even change the battle animations now. Like, that's just a permanent thing, which is crazy to me, because I always turn that off.
Right now. So obviously, as an example, Cyberpunk 2077 came out in the state it came out, was buggy as hell, didn't work on console. On PC, it was barely better. There was graphical glitches up the wazoo. And people gave them all tons of shit like that, right? Because they had that reputation of being like a decent company and stuff like that. Multi-billion-dollar company, sold The Witcher. They had 2 studios at the time, over like 500 employees, and even they couldn't get everything they wanted. Game Freak has 1 studio located in Japan and a total of 169 employees.
Nice.
That's kind of unacceptable for a 10 million 10 million units sold in the last 3 days. And then they put out a product like this.
Yeah, they definitely could. And we all know that it's just going to the Switch. It's not going to any other systems either. I think that's something that Digital Foundry brought up in their review of the game. It's like, they know it's just for this. It's not a multi-platform release like Cyberpunk or like anything else. And they know what the Switch is like. They put out so many games already for the Switch. They should know, or at least have an idea of how it's going to run. And they still put out stuff like this. And not even just like performance-wise as well, where a lot of things just run like slideshows. And also the pop-in is just terrible. But also like some of the areas just seem uninspired design-wise. It doesn't seem like... I mean, yeah, it's going to be in the Pokemon world because there are Pokemon in there. But there's some things that just look like a basic kind of like beach or a basic forest. I feel like that they could have added some more mysticism to it. Like Glimwood Tangle in Sword and Shield, for example. That place really is something that I don't think could ever exist in the real world. All of this I feel like exists already, and we've seen something like that in real life before. And I just don't seem as immersed
town
in it.
names just because they're so unforgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And no one really mentions them in the game either, unless you check the map.
Exactly.
If there were like special places like you're saying, the only ones I could think of are the lake, the mountain, the desert, and the small bamboo forest. Those are like the only distinct places that I can remember.
Right. And
the whole map just kind of looks like you ever play Sims and you like change like the geometry of like your lawn and like you raise and lower the ground. It kind of feels like someone just spent an hour or two just raising terrain and then put in some water.
If I saw a sim in this game, or at least like the green diamond, I would probably be more surprised about that than the actual like performance of the game. I'd be like, oh, that makes sense.
We're in Simland, okay.
Yeah. Oh wait, there just happens to be a red dragon over here. Okay, still Sims though. But yeah, that's
honestly, I question the purpose of the cities, because you can't even go into like buildings propers.
Yeah,
like you can go into the school and it's like a fleshed out thing. You can go to the gym and it's like a small room, but everything else you can't walk into. Or if you go to like a store to buy something, it just pulls up a menu.
Yeah, and
so
also
it really
with
calls into question why have them.
Yeah, and with the school as well, it's like there's no hallways or anything. You just like there's a main hub, and then you just decide, you pick whatever room you want to go into. But there's no hallways either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that kind of like a double-edged, or kind of a pro and con for me, because I hate kind of like getting lost with all these like houses. Like, oh, what's in this house? Oh, just some lady talking about her dog. Okay, next house. Like that, going through that with every Pokemon game, I find like really time consuming. And
that makes sense.
Maybe you'll find one house where they give you like a Rocky helmet or something. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I need to explore everything.
And I feel like they've done away with that, because you get all those items that you would get, like a Rocky item or like a Pokeball. Well, the Pokeballs are like discoverable in the world, but like all like the battle items you now buy at the store, and they all have associating prices.
Yeah. And I guess it kind of reminded me of how inefficient the big city in X and Y was. I forget what the name of it is. The one
Lumiose.
Lumio City, where it's like there's so many different pathways and streets to go into, and nothing seems specific. And you can go into all the buildings, you can talk to all the people, but most of them are not going to be helpful at all. So, I mean, I totally see that too. It's like there's pros and cons to it, absolutely.
There's also NPCs you don't even talk to. They literally just have like their text bubble, and that's it.
Exactly.
You can't engage with them.
It took me so long to figure out which ones I could talk to. The little arrow next to the bubble is a good indicator. But yeah, I was like, what's going on? How can I talk to them? Talk to me.
And to go back onto the good about this game, there were a couple things that I really liked that they did. Like, for example, there's like when you're battling trainers, when they look at you, they're not going to immediately go and battle you. You decide when you want to battle the trainers. And that's nice as well, especially if you're in the middle of like shiny hunting, or if you're in the middle of doing something important, that you're not going to be bothered by them. You just go up to them at your choice. And also there's no random encounters, which I fucking hate random encounters. As a person that's been playing Pokemon since day one, I don't like them. Especially if I'm just trying to like get lost in the world of it, then I want to be able to choose when I'm battling something. Although with Pop-In, it pretty much is a random encounter.
And the size of them too, they're so tiny sometimes.
That's another huge complaint people have, is like they're tiny. So people who have like terrible vision, by no fault of their own, are like, this game sucks because I can't see. And it's like, oh, people are online like, oh, you could just turn your Switch on inverted mode, or if you have a capture card, you can choose which colors you can be displayed on your screen. It's like, you shouldn't have to do that.
Also, people were also complaining in BDSP that there was no scaling on the Pokemon, and so now that they're scaling, now they're complaining about that too. It's like, you can't win.
All right.
I
Yeah.
think my issue with like the whole size thing is that and I was talking to my friends about this the other day.
Yeah.
Everything, especially at the beginning, feels like you're scaled way down to the world. Like if you increase the size of everything like 2 times,
Yeah.
it would feel more appropriate because you're looking at like sidewalks and roads and you're like a little ant on the road. It's like that doesn't make
Well,
sense. Like I should be much bigger compared to
may
the world I'm in.
maybe that
I don't
explains
understand.
like the little glitch video that you sent in our Discord the other day where the character grew like 100 times. It just stretched out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're trying to go for right there. Maybe that was the original size, and
Just
we're just playing
Slenderman.
in a glitch
Like
where they're
that.
shrunk down.
Maybe. But yeah, that's the one thing I really hate about, and I think I noticed it with Sword and Shield. It's like it's almost like an artificial way of making the world bigger. It's like, oh, we'll make
Yeah.
the player just smaller, like that.
Yeah.
That'll make the world bigger, right?
Yeah.
So I just it kind of bugs me. I'm used to it now, but when I
Yeah.
first was walking around, I'm like, I feel like a little like a tiny person. Like
Hmm. Yeah,
I,
you just
I've
feel like a
I've been
blip on the
shrunk.
radar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But uh yeah, let's see.
There's a lot of problems with the open worldness and
Yeah.
Pokemon being out there.
Hmm.
A lot of times, if you're sprinting, or at least on Scarlet, if I'm sprinting to go somewhere on Koraidon, and I'm running not just like on the dirt path, but I'm running through a field, something will spawn and I'll get into a battle
Mm.
before I even notice. And
Hmm.
it's like
Yeah. I'm like
that.
always jumping so that I
Yeah,
avoid.
Yeah.
started to learn to do that. So
Oh,
that's a big problem. Another one is that recently people started to notice that some Pokemon are spawning in walls or
Mhm.
spawning in rocks or
Yeah.
in
I
water.
I've noticed it already.
And it's like,
Uh,
yeah, some of those have the potential to be shiny Pokemon. And it's
yeah,
like, what are you gonna do
exactly.
if you get a shiny Pokemon that spawned in a rock?
Yeah. You basically got to like save and then reload it, and maybe they'll spawn back in where they should. I don't know.
I haven't seen a shiny Pokemon, but I saw a Pokemon in a rock, threw the Pokeball at it like to initiate battle, and then all of a sudden it appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's so
Ha-
funny.
haven't you had Pokemon like disappear in the middle of battle too?
Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
that before. When they're
Mm.
too close to the city, they're
Hmm.
supposed to like phase out because it's supposed to
Yeah.
focus on the city.
Oh,
But I went and encountered a Ralts that was in like the very edge of the city, and it initiated battle, and it was just nothing there.
Hmm.
that's
Although
so funny.
I do have to say as well, I know people don't like the textures of like the walls and the trees and stuff in this game. They've been saying that since Gen 8. I'm on that boat, but that's just a redundant thing. But I really like how the Pokemon models look in this game. Like they add the
Mhm.
textures like scales and hair and feathers
Yeah.
and all that stuff. They look better than ever at this point, and I absolutely love it. It's like
Yes.
one of those things that's like one of my favorite things is like oh my god, like Magnezone looks so good or Sizor looks so good with the
Yeah.
metallic shining on there.
Although
Uh
Grimmsnarl now creeps me out now that I know like everything is all hair.
yeah. It's just like Bayonetta but in
Yeah.
an ugly troll.
Right.
Yeah, there's some things that look really nice with this game, but there's so much wrong with it that it just
Yeah.
outweighs a lot of the good performance wise. But in terms of just gameplay and just having fun with it, this is one of my favorite games I've had, like, at least Pokemon, like, just playing the game. I've had so much fun playing it.
Oh
And
yeah.
had it perform better, I would put this in, like, one of my top favorite Pokemon games right away. But it just runs like just absolute trash. And it's inexcusable, of course, but I don't know if Game Freak's ever gonna acknowledge it, or let alone during the holiday season. I don't know if they're going to, but I really hope that they just patch this game and fix it up because I'm sure that they're hearing and reading all the complaints that people have about it. Like there's some
Hmm.
stores that are offering refunds already for the game because of how shit it runs.
Yep.
I was
Not
telling
surprised
Alex
though.
about it with the flying mechanic. You can go for a little bit, but then you start to,
Mhm.
dip.
Yeah,
And we're in like Breath of the Wild. You can fly from one end of the map to the other end. I
or
feel like they
Legends.
did, or yeah, I feel like they did that because it's struggling to render everything ahead of it. So to get around it, they're like, oh, we'll just have like, if he gets far enough right here, he has to start falling because
Yeah.
then they'll start seeing,
That makes sense.
Mhm.
something loading in that they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
But
It's
even then, there's the like you clip under the world glitches where like if you're just on a little bit of a ledge, you'll see like everything under the
Yeah.
map.
Yeah.
All the skybox below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened so many times to me. I was in a terror raid. I was linked up with a friend of mine, but I was in a raid alone. And what happened was I hadn't seen Baxcalibur yet. I had
Mhm.
no idea it was a Pokemon. But at the start of the raid, just for one frame, it flashed in front of the Pokemon I was fighting. I was like, "What?" So I did a screen record. I took a look at it. I'm like, "What the fuck is that thing?" And then it turns out my friend who I was connected with, he had that out doing auto battles. So I think there's some kind of weird wire crossing going on. So
Mm.
his
What?
Pokemon model showed up in my raid,
What
and I
in
was like, dude,
tarnation?
the game is spoiling the game for me. Um, but now it's on my team. It's like one of my favorites.
I wanted to use it so bad, but I had the Titan on my team already, and then
Mm.
I replaced the Titan with the shinies when I got those, and I was like, shit, I don't have any room for Baxcalibur because then I'll take out a Pokemon that I really like, or I'm getting rid of a shiny. And
That's
that's
fair.
something I really want to use. I think I'm going to use it when I play Scarlet.
Backspell. I can't even talk.
That one. I
That
love
one.
that
Yeah.
one.
Godzilla. Call him.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so good, and his signature move is like hilarious if you're familiar with the Godzilla lore. I don't know.
Ooh. Is it
Just
like?
wait till you see it.
Oh man, I haven't seen that yet. I don't know if I might have battled. I won battle one Baxcalibur in the Elite Four, but I have not like done any more than that. Uh, Dude, I got like straight up just ruined by the Annihilate in the Star Team Starfall thing. I just got my ass handed to me right away. Did you guys have any struggles with any of the gym leaders or Elite Four or like any of the storylines? Did you have any difficulty?
I only have one. So far, I haven't done anything yet or everything
Yeah.
yet. But after you do the Titans, you have to battle Arvin,
Uh huh.
and I was like way under leveled. I haven't gone back since. But that's
Oh
the only time I've actually lost
yeah.
so far anyway.
Yeah, I got my ass handed to me on that one the other day. I was like the first
Yeah.
thing I did too, and my friend rated my stream with 5 people, and I'm like, you are watching me fail right now in one of my lowest moments, and this is when you bring the most people over? Like, god damn it.
Come back later.
Yeah, come back later when I'm not sucking. Uh
Yeah. I
Bono,
had
what about
trouble
you?
with
yeah.
the fighting girl for Team Star. That was just because my team had a big weakness to fighting.
Yeah.
It's like I had nothing that was super effective against. I didn't have Fairy, didn't have Psychic, or
Uh-huh.
Flying.
Right.
But that was about it. I ended up winning because I switched into Gyarados on like her second Pokemon, or
Hmm.
second or third Pokemon, and then like it could do nothing to me, and then I just Dragon Dance till you win,
Yeah.
and then just
Dance
swept
till you
everything.
die.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
you brushed upon it slightly, Joel, but that's something we could get into is the Terra raids or
Yeah.
terastallizing in general. So
Mhm.
that's the new gimmick, like battle
Mhm.
gimmick of this generation. Because last time we had the Gigantamax and Dynamax. Now we have terastallizing and Terra types. So you're
Mhm.
given an item like a Terra Orb to basically turn any Pokemon into a terastallized form. So it's pretty much like a hidden typing that it gets. A lot of times, unless if it's a special Terra type, then it's usually going to match the primary typing of your Pokemon. For example, like Fuecoco will get Fire Terra typing just by default, or if you encounter something later on, then you could get a different Terra type. And
Mhm.
so when you terastallize in the battle, then it turns to that one type, and at least until it faints, it'll be that one type, and everything gets like stat boosts and stuff, right? Like an Omni boost.
I don't believe so. I believe you just
No,
get the typing.
it's just the typing. That's it.
It's just the typing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
really?
okay.
Yep. You get the typing, and then if you have a move that you get stabbed. So
Interesting.
obviously that's something they showed us, but didn't really go into detail of. So the community was all abuzz like, what am I gonna get 3 types? Am I gonna get the one type? How do I make the ultimate Pokemon with a new Terra type? And honestly, when they first revealed it, I was kind of like I don't know how I feel about it because like with Gen 6 they introduced Megas, and what made Megas so great is that it was a gamble. Obviously, you had a small pool of Pokemon to pick from, and then say you got your Garchomp, and then you got something else, or if they had just the one Pokemon, you're like, okay, that's what I have to look out for. But then with ORAS, the introduction of more Pokemon, people started to get crafty with it. People started to turn Garchomp from like this Dragon Dancing Sweeper Pokemon to like a Stealth Rock Pokemon with Rocky Helmet,
Weird.
and then they also have like the Sizer on the team. So now you're like, oh, who's gonna go? Is it gonna be the Sizer or the Garchomp? And when you had the Mega, it was always a gamble. She was like trying to keep it reserved, so that way when you do it, it's at full health and you can do whatever with it, rather than throwing it out there, getting it hurt, and then losing it in a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Gen 7, they had Z moves, which were basically hyper beams on any Pokemon, and any Pokemon could always have one. Same thing, it's a gamble when just to when you use it. Dynamaxing, same thing. It's kind of like a game of chicken between who's going to go first. that guy or that guy. But after the meta had its time, it eventually just became like who goes first and who either dragon dances or swords dances, because your HP gets tripled. So even if you were super effective against it, Dynamax, makes it null because it's going to take 200 of my 800 HP. With terastallizing, now that the meta has had a little bit of time to like breathe, it's an insanely good mechanic and an insanely fun thing to do, because now any Pokemon can be any type, and it's be given so much life to just every Pokemon. And
Yeah.
it's going to take a little bit more time for like the meta to solidify into what's great, what's not. But I really look forward to like seeing how VGC sets are going to come out and the future of battling online for Pokemon.
Yeah. It's always exciting when they add something like this, and that the competitive community like appreciates it, because I had a feeling that like people were definitely gonna be mixed about it, because I always felt like it was gonna be a giant question mark of like, oh, like I don't know how to prepare for this. Like, am I gonna go with like this one technical thing, or am I gonna have like a variety of types of moves? Like, what am I gonna be doing? Even like when you go into like a raid, because they brought back raids from Sword and Shield, but now instead of them being the Dynamax raids, they're terrestrialized raids, they're Terra raids, and so you don't know like if you're going against, let's say, like a Pikachu and it has a flying type, Terra type, that if you go with one typing of move or like one kind of Pokemon, and then they just get you with something else too, because you have to remember the original typing of the Pokemon you're going against, because they could totally just blindside you with using one of those original moves. They might not even have a stab move on there. They might just just use their original moves on there. It might not be stab. It'll
An
still be
example of like it being great is dragons always struggle with steel types because steel resists dragon, and their steel types are generally just strong as shit.
yeah.
I saw a set with Dragonite on it that had Dragon Dance, Dragon Claw, something else, and Fire Punch. And so somebody switched in a Scizor, and the guy stayed in, did his Dragon Dance because the opponent was like, "Oh, what are you gonna do, huh? I got the Steel type. Ooh, big bad Dragonite."
Yeah.
And then the guy terastallized and hit him with a Fire Punch and knocked it out from full health.
Oh shit.
And so it's like on a dime, the game can switch on you with the terastallizing.
Yeah.
One
Which
thing
makes
that
it so
kind
much
of
interesting.
one thing that kind of blew my mind, I came across a wild, I had to look it up, a wild Knackle stack, that
Okay.
Salt Rock thing.
Yeah.
I came across a wild one that had a Ghost Terra type, and the way that it uses Curse actually changes when it's terrestrialized.
Oh,
Right.
So it
that's
actually works
clever.
as like the Ghost Curse, but then when it's not, it acts like Curse normally does.
That's
It's funny
super
that you brought
interesting.
that one up because
Yeah.
what's its final evolution called?
Gargan.
Garganackle.
Yeah,
Garganackle.
Garganackle and Golden Go are two Pokemon that was designed by somebody that like, like how people are like, oh, I hate confusion, I hate status, I hate that. That kid finally grew up and got a job and made those two Pokemon
Yeah.
because you can't status Garganackle or Golden Go.
What?
The only way that they can be inflicted with status is if it's part of a move. So like moves like Nuzzle are the only way you can paralyze those Pokemon.
Is that part of his ability?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Golden
Purifying
Go's
Salt.
ability is Solid Gold and then Purifying Salt.
Ooh.
So
And just going back to the curse thing real quick. So if you have a terrestrialized ghost, Garganackle, curse, gurgle, whatever,
Gurg's games.
rock, Minecraft rock. So
yeah,
so curse not only works differently when it's ghost terrestrialized, but also with purifying salt, ghost type moves are halved when it receives damage. So even if they do predict and use a ghost type move, it's not going to count technically as super effective.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
right.
That's super.
And even with, I think it's not with Purifying Salt, but with Golden Go, you can't even lower its stats too. So you
What?
can't be statused or lowered stats. So
What
no
the
metal
hell?
sound, no screech, no nothing.
Wow.
That's
So you
cool.
just have to straight up battle it?
You have to straight up battle it.
That's
you
funny.
hit it with whatever you got, and then not to mention it terras. So if it goes pure steel,
Mhm.
it gets rid of its weakness to ghost. If it goes pure ghost, it gets rid of its weakness to fire.
That's
So
wild.
yeah.
So like with every game, I tend to rush the story and just focus on like shiny hunting or competitive breeding.
Mm-hmm.
I
And I'll say like
obviously.
this, yeah, like what else is there to do?
Yeah.
But with this game, like I haven't even gotten finished with the story, and I'm like, this is going to be insane once I get to that point with all the new Pokemon and abilities, and even some of the new battle items. Like competitive is like completely different,
Yeah.
especially with the Terra thing. It's kind of exciting, I will say.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially since everything, all the items like cost. I have trouble with money because I'm trying to get like competitive Pokemon, so I have to buy a mint, I have to buy bottle
Hmm.
caps, and then I have
Yeah.
to buy all the vitamins, and those all cost money.
Mhm.
And so far, I haven't found a way to like get a ton of money instantly.
Yeah.
Not like how it was in Sword and Shield with the the
The
tournament where you win.
luxury ball thing.
Yeah, the luxury ball thing, and then the first time you win the gym leader tournament, you get 1,000,000 Poké Dollars.
Mhm.
So there's stuff
I
like
forgot
that.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling with that. Obviously, doing raids helps, and there's also something else when we get to
Um,
spoilers I'll talk about.
Basically, what I do, at least that I've been getting money, is that like I'll just grab whatever items I see on the overworld. I'll just be like traversing, and I just grab
Yeah.
everything I could find. I've never had an issue with money in the whole game, and like I got the most expensive outfit you could get, which is like 231,000, and I still had a few 100,000 left to spare. It's like
Nice.
just doing that, and I've been good. And of course, I sell all my Great Balls and Ultra Balls or anything that has over 1x multiplier because Pokeballs only. And
Speaking
so
of
yeah.
which, Golden Go also has its own version of Payday called Make It Rain.
What?
Yeah.
That's a
What?
what?
Yeah. It's a field
What the
type move. Make It Rain does tons of damage and also gives you money.
It's
Oh
Ryan to a
gosh.
spin to the top and winning money.
Speaking of winning money, one thing I wanted to talk about because I honestly struggle to figure out how I got to the levels I did doing what I did.
Yeah.
Um, how much on a percentage base would you say you battled trainers in this game?
Honestly, not that much. Like I
Mm,
maybe battle
near the beginning a little bit,
yeah.
but
Like
But
maybe like
after that, just
30% at
it just
most.
disappeared.
Yeah. I
Because honestly, I'm thinking the way I got to the higher levels was just literally by catching Pokemon. Like once
yeah.
I had my team and was like done with it, I immediately was like just catching everything I saw leading up to like the end of the game, and I was thinking to myself like I hardly battled wild Pokemon. I hardly did they introduced auto battle,
Mhm.
so you throw out your Pokemon and it doesn't take HP, it doesn't take PP of any of the moves, which is weird. And it only has HP, and I believe it goes off of stats. So the Pokemon will attack, and then it'll come back, or it'll find another Pokemon to attack.
Uh-huh.
It's a little bit half and half as to whether it's good or not, because sometimes you'll throw it out and it won't do anything. It'll just act like a dumb AI and walk around when there's tons of Pokemon around.
Yeah.
And then other times it'll like be bloodthirsty and attack like 6 Pokemon, and you're almost halfway across the map.
Yeah.
So there's that, and I definitely didn't level up from that. I know Greg, our friend Greg, did a little bit of it and was like leveling up that way. But for trainers, I want to say like after the third gym, I hardly battled any. I just kept skipping them.
Yeah. The only times I ever used the Let's Go battling was during the Team Star things, like the Starfalls. But other than that, like I never bother with it. Like if I'm battling anything, I'd like to go one by one, especially if I want to catch them too. Is that I don't want to just like
um,
auto battle them.
it's really good for those mass outbreaks
Yeah,
because
Oh
there's like
right,
60 of them that
right.
spawn
right.
one after the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
And
like XP in this game, I don't know how they did it, but they somehow managed to like, I would say perfect it really, because not at any point in this game did I ever feel like I was over leveled, no matter what I was doing. Whether it was doing well, obviously I did the gyms in the right order, so there was that.
mm,
But the Team Star raids and the Titans, I never felt like I was overpowered. Not like Sword and Shield overpowered, where I, did all the raids I
yeah.
could before Milo and was level 45.
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah,
this game, I just didn't have that.
yeah. That's what broke Sword and Shield for me. Is that I started that game later on, and Bono wanted me to join him on some raids. So I got like all these XL candies and large candies, and my team was so fucking yoked before the first gym. I was like 30 levels ahead of everybody. I just fucking swept everybody, and it was just. It made it not fun. I felt like there was no challenge. Just everything just got bodied by whatever Pokemon I had.
I'll have
Uh,
to go back and check because the XL candies I know in this game give you 30,000 experience per candy. I don't know
wow.
if the numbers are different between Sword and Shield, but I do know that you can only get XL candies from 5-star raids, which you're unable to access until after you get, I believe, 8 badges.
Hmm.
and it's still a percentage because even after everything I've done and I'm done, I still find 3 stars. 4 stars are the most common. 5 stars are like very rare. I know there's like an actual percentage they have on Cerebi. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that is how it's spread out. So you still can't farm XL candies like they're crazy. They also raise the levels of the Pokemon in 5-star raids. I believe they're all level 75 instead of 60, which does make it a little bit harder. Not to mention how Terra raid battles go. They're it's still 4 Pokemon versus 1, but halfway through the battle, instead of having to do shields that it doesn't take any damage, they get like this terastallized shield or something along the lines of that. And I don't know the calculation, but it almost feels like you're doing it like 1/10 of your normal damage. Like even with super effective hits, you barely see that meter go down.
If you're able to terastallize, I think you do more damage with that shield.
Yeah, but then that depends on like you have to have that Terra type to go at it. So even if you have a super effective Pokemon, if your Pokemon doesn't have the Terra type that's good against it, it's still not going to do anything. Unless, of course, you do what I just did and you get yourself a Golden Go. And the way to cheese raids with Golden Go, it learns Nasty Plot and Metal Sound, and then also make it rains 120 base power with 5 moves.
What the fuck?
Or Hex. So and the way they do it is the AIs aren't dog in this game. They're dog in Sword and Shield, because you'll get the Magikarp or you'll get the Soul Rock that just does light screen. Like if you remember those ones. In this one, it's like a decent spread of Pokemon, but each one is allocated to somewhat of a role. So one of them will cheer, it'll be random whatever it cheers. One of them will inflict status, and then the other one will do damage. So Golden Go also gets access to Hex. So you can essentially, what you could do is you could do with the 5-star rates, because they have so much health, you could do 3 Nasty Plots, 3 Metal Sounds, and then if the status is up, they you can hit them with Hex for 130, and you struggle when you do it without Golden Go, but if you get all that off, the HP bar just goes to 0 in 1 hit.
That's wild. Is
Golden
there
Go
any
is worth it.
like downside to make it rain? Is it like a recharge, or you can't use it the next time, or what?
No,
it's just like basically just Jesus Christ. Like Golden Go needs to get nerfed.
So I hated Golden Go at first, but I feel like they really thought, at least they put a little bit of effort into like making it worth collecting all the coins and making it as strong as it is, because I believe it has 138 base special attack. Yeah. And then everything else is like 80 in its stats.
Yeah, that sounds like it's like trying to be a reward Pokemon. Maybe it's because like at least from what data miners are expecting that this is Pokemon number 1000, maybe they wanted to make it something special for that. And especially for like you have to get 999 Gimme Ghoul coins, and then the 1000th one is going to be the Golden Go. Maybe that's you know.
I did mess up a little bit when I was talking to you yesterday. It does use all 999 coins, so you do need to find them again.
Oh,
that's so annoying.
Yeah,
but I do believe that the chests do respawn after some time.
Yeah, they do.
So
they do.
You can go back and find them.
Yeah, so you get anywhere between like I think like 50 to 100 per like Gimme Ghoul chest, but then the ones that you find out in the world that you interact with could be anywhere sort of like 1 to 3. I want to say.
Yeah, if you want to be a degenerate shiny hunter, I think there's a 0.2% chance that one of the chests can give you like 600 coins.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
that's
so there's
insane.
That. Yeah. But yeah, XP, I feel like they did it, to insert the Pacha meme here, very nice. And, there's never a point where I've got too out of hand. Even when I was using candies to like level up my actual team, I never felt like it was too out of hand. Maybe a second playthrough will prove me wrong, but as it stands, I feel like they did that right.
Yeah,
I mean, with most people, like my starter's the highest level, and I keep feeding it candies just to take care of raids and whatnot. But everything else is pretty balanced in terms of leveling. Which is cool.
Yeah. I always try to keep everything balanced, especially in our glorious communist Pokemon world over here. Everything is balanced, and nobody's better or worse than anybody else.
I think a way they could benefit is if they do a little bit of Breath of the Wild, where they have like they have the roaming traders that walk along the paths. I feel like maybe putting like a handful of trainers that walk along those paths, to give the world some life, and then you can battle rather than being the static people that are just standing in obscure places.
I would love to see something like Breath of the Wild, where they have the what do they name them? Like the bad guys in there, where they're just like
the Yiga?
Yeah, the Yiga clan, where they're like, "Oh, I need help," or something. It's like, "No, I'm gonna battle you. I'm Team Star." Like that'd be cool in my opinion. But
there's also not a lot of trainer classes in the game. Like I've
Yeah.
seen the Dragon Tamer, but
Yeah.
other than that, everyone else is a student, and that ranges from children to full-grown men. So
Yeah, exactly. There's like 80-year-old men that are students.
still struggling
Or-
to figure, trying
Or
to figure
especially
out
that,
what school
that
we're going
Clive
to.
student as well. He seems a little bit on the older side, but he's a student, so I believe him. Yeah.
Right.
He's a little sus.
Yeah.
A little sus.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a sussy baka.
What do you feel about the Pokemon there in this game? Because obviously we're in the era of Dexit, so we only got 400 Pokemon, of which I believe like maybe 100 or 120 are new, or less than 100.
Yeah, but that's still more than the previous couple generations, though.
But what did you? I think we went over it, but generally I think I said they're all okay. Nothing
Yeah.
really. Only a handful stand out to me.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
pretty mid.
I haven't seen all of them. I'm looking through the list and I'm stopping myself right when it gets to the paradox because I'm like, I don't quite want to scroll down further.
Oh, I can't
Yeah.
wait to
Yeah.
get to that part. But what do you call it? A lot. I feel like the spread of Pokemon around the region is also pretty well.
Mhm.
No, it's not the wild area where you're in, one area and then it starts snowing. If you want to get snow, you go to the snow area. You want the desert,
Yeah.
you go to the desert.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy that. The wild area in Sword and Shield, while had a couple things going for it, I really hated that weather. There's no
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
dense
Oh
fog,
my gosh, the fog fucking sucked.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember just like having to walk like completely out of the area to see like where the raids were. Like, oh, it's over there. Okay, look at it. So I couldn't see
Yeah.
shit.
Exactly.
It's like a sandstorm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two, have any of you done the classes yet?
No.
Have you gone back?
I tried out the biology one and it just told me how Pokemon have
Shock.
sex and make
Okay.
eggs.
Yeah.
But okay.
Maybe I need to go to these classes then.
Ooh.
As I
But-
devoured my game and I'm struggling for content, I actually went back to the classes, and I gotta say they're actually really fun.
Mhm.
I actually feel a little disappointed that I didn't do them as part of the story,
Yep.
and that I waited so long. Because the way it works is, like you said, you got that one class where they taught you how the birds and the starlies and the combies, as they say, of Pokemon. But then the next class will be about something different, and the teacher will always ask you like one question to make sure you're paying attention. And after you do 3 classes, the 4th class will be a midterm, which will ask you questions from all 3 lessons.
Are
Yeah,
you
you have
actually
to get-
talking about like the game classes, or are you talking
Yeah.
about your in real life classes
No, the
right
game
now?
classes. I had Pokemon midterms, which is
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
And you have to get 4 out of the 5, or 3 out of the 5 questions right to pass, and you do get a reward. I don't know if it's based on how well you do, but you do get like candies, and I think they go up depending on how many midterms you've taken. Because I did the first one, it gave me extra small. And I did another one, it gave me small candies.
Interesting.
They offer classes in, I think it's language, math, history, biology, and home ec, which I
I
think is funny.
think I'll probably end up
I
going to
love the
those.
home ec teacher too.
The home ec teacher, if you haven't seen him, is literally like the biggest dude on campus with an apron on.
Oh hell yeah, let's go. Yeah, because I feel like I didn't go to them because I was just like, oh, it's just gonna be like the Pokemon Trainer School in Gen 2. And also, like, I got so burnt out of, like, school and all the schooling programs that I've gone through that I'm just like, I don't want to go through this again. Willingly, of course. Like, why? But, I mean, you guys have kind of sold me on it already. Like, go
Yeah.
back to some candies, see some buff men. I mean...
The best part about it is that you can actually revisit classes. So if you really like the storyline, like I really enjoyed the history one, you can actually go back and redo all of them.
Do they talk about the Great War of Kanto? Or
They
they tell you
don't,
about the
but they do.
tragic tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
They don't, unfortunately, but they do lead you into some legendaries. They don't specifically tell you where they are. They don't specifically tell you how to get them. They do lead you to an area that you may have discovered in the first area, which is that giant purple plate that has
Yeah.
chains on it. It
Yeah.
will elaborate on that, and it will point you in the right direction. I don't know, because I didn't check every book in the library, but there was one called like Odd Culture, which may or may not have had a picture of like where the stakes are.
Ah.
So
Yeah, I
by
might
doing
use
that
that.
and then hunting them, it kind of felt like its own mini story within the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying it's worth going to school? Okay.
It is.
What?
Yeah, it is worth going to school. Apparently,
Pay attention, kids.
yeah.
Press X to doubt.
Which it's something that they didn't have to do. Obviously, they
Yeah.
didn't do a lot of stuff, But the fact
I
that they did is a nice touch.
Yeah, I kind of figured it was just for people who were completely new because I went through a few classes and it was just explaining things I already knew,
Mm.
being like a 20-year veteran of the game. So it's
Mhm.
Right.
like I just kind of took it as like a tutorial or additional instructions kind of thing.
Right.
Right.
Of course. Um, yeah, so let's see. Another thing that we could talk about. So, well, I mean, we kind of mentioned it. Mass outbreaks come back in. And
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
thing that's frustrating about this game, another thing I want to complain about, is something I think that we all have experienced at this point, at least in terms of our gripes with it, is shiny Pokemon not showing that they're shiny until you like see them and battle them. Like
Hmm.
in Legends, for example, they would like shine bright, like you could tell they'll make that sound and they'll keep on making it until you encounter them or if they run off. But this one, you just have to know what's shiny for you to know like, oh
Right.
shit, I should go and battle that.
Not to
And
Yeah, you
mention
got
it.
yeah,
really pay attention.
yeah,
In Arceus. It was like actually determinate on spawn. So if you went there and did shiny, for whatever reason you just ignored it and you left, and you come back, it'll still be shiny.
mm-hmm,
In this game, if it's shiny and you don't notice it and you leave and it despawns, it's gone.
yeah,
Shit.
Yeah, so you really have to pay
yeah.
attention. And like Joel
Mhm.
said, the models are very small. So if you're hunting for Pokemon like Flabebe, the little tiny, fairy with the flower, and you just
Mm-hmm.
don't see it and you leave, it's gone.
Yeah,
There's no
Yeah,
getting it back.
but
and God forbid you have one that looks similar to its original color too.
like
Right.
Slowpoke.
Or Garchomp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also, but it is nice though when you find one, you could save in front of it. So in case like you end up like accidentally killing it, or it kills itself, or whatever it is, that you could just reset your game, like turn your game off and back on, and it'll be there right away, the same as before. Because
And
yeah.
autosave off just in
Oh
case.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Autosave
we'll get
always
to
off for
that.
me. I've never kept autosave on in a Pokemon game because I just can't trust it. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's something about it where I'm like,
I turned it
Yeah.
off, and then I kept playing, and I caught like 80 Pokemon, and then it decided to crash, and I was like, oh shit, when did I save? And I lost
that's
Yeah.
why
80
you
of those
constantly
Pokemon.
save, bro. Constantly
You shouldn't
save.
have to. The game shouldn't crash.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we'll put that up. Check on all on the cons list of pros and cons of this game.
The game shouldn't crash. You shouldn't have to
And
be dependent on
also,
saving like a madman.
do you think that Game Freak is gonna make patches for performance of this game, or do you think they're just gonna say, "Yeah, it's good enough"?
Performance, maybe. For additions,
Maybe a little
probably.
bit.
Yeah.
I think if anything, they'll try to improve the frame rate, but in
Yeah.
terms of glitches and crashes, I'm not sure.
I
I,
mean,
I
the
don't
Elite
know.
Four thing I was telling you guys about earlier is just like straight like bupkis. There's a thing right now with the Elite Four. If you just go into battle them, they'll own the theme that they the design sound designers and people worked on this game. It'll only loop the first 15 seconds of the song, and you don't get to hear the rest of it. The only way to
That
fix it is to battle them, and then shut your game off and go back into it.
that makes. I mean, that might explain what I was experiencing when I was finishing up the Elite Four the other day. Was that it just felt super minimal, which I'm not opposed to, but something just felt like unsettling about the music in the Elite
Yeah,
Four. It just
a lot
felt
of people were
like,
like, "Oh, the music is so ominous and cool," and people were like, "Wait, there's like a whole like other three
yeah,
minutes of the song."
yeah. They're just like, I'll put it on a loop.
Yeah,
Uh,
That's so
so I
weird.
feel like that'll be addressed.
yeah.
But
I want to
as far
listen to
as
the
like,
actual like music
it's
now.
cool. I
Yeah.
liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like making Pokemon stop spawning in rocks and even in Terra Raid battles, when I terrestrialize, sometimes when I like its finishes, like all the Pokemon are like despawned, and it takes like 3 seconds for them all to pop back in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys usually get like a little Pokeball right in front of you during the raids? Like just a Pokeball model just sitting there?
No,
Nope.
I haven't gotten
No,
that
I
one
haven't
yet.
gotten
Oh,
that. Did
I've
you?
gotten it like a handful of times. It's like right in front of my Pokemon, just a little Pokeball sitting there, and that's where that Baxcalibur spawned,
What?
that glitch I mentioned earlier. So I think it's
There,
just a model just happens to
So
find a
there
place to
was
go, and that's
one
where it's
when I was
stowaway.
catching a gimme goal earlier, where I went up onto one of the towers and climbed it. And the way the battles work in this one is that you'll do the encounter, and then it'll spawn your character back or do whatever to your character,
hmm
and then throw out your Pokemon. And sometimes the camera will do stupid stuff where like it'll be inside the Pokemon, and then you have to turn it to do it, or the angle is just so off that it's so weird. With the Gimme Ghoul, there's only so much space on the top of the castle that sometimes your character spawns like he's on the edge, like, "Don't, he's gonna jump, don't do it."
I've
But
done
with
that
Yeah.
before.
with this one, it swapped like the Pokemon and the trainer. So instead of me being behind the Pokemon, I was in front of the Pokemon, and I'm like standing a foot away from the gimme goal. And so when I went to do the trainer ball, he throws it right, and
Yeah.
the physics of the game treat it like it's actually like throwing the ball, but the ball would literally just like drop to the floor because that's where the gimme goal was, and
Oh
it's just
my
like it was so
god.
weird.
I had something similar. I can't remember what I was fighting, but my character model was on like a cliff, I guess,
Mhm.
and the Pokemon I was fighting was down here, and yeah, he threw it like straight down.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. He was winding up to like
Technically,
throw it out, but the physics
Mhm.
took over and made it go down.
yeah, gravity wanted its Pokeball back, basically.
Yeah.
I
A big feature I'm missing from Arceus is just the ability to throw a Pokeball
Hmm.
and not
Mhm.
And just
engage in
catch it.
battle.
Oh, I miss
Yeah.
that so much. That was such
Yeah.
a great quality of life thing.
I know I pointed it out to Alex, but Joel, have you noticed when you put Pokemon to sleep, they don't close their eyes anymore?
What?
Yeah.
What?
From
Why?
Gen 6 onward, that was a feature where if you put
No, it
Pokemon to
was
sleep,
even
their
longer than
eyes
that.
would
Gen 5 had it too.
yeah, they'd close their eyes because they
Yeah.
were asleep. In this
Hmm.
game, if you put something to sleep,
They were straight up.
keep their eyes wide open. They
Oh, like
didn't
Gandalf.
bother. Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't bother to put an animation
It's
in.
like the Chuck Norris meme. They don't sleep,
That's
they wait.
And I'm pretty sure if somebody calls it on it, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, they're all new models, and we didn't have time to animate them
Look,
closing eyes."
yeah,
that's
they're gonna
so
have
weird.
some
I've never
bullshit
noticed.
cop out reason, but yeah,
Yeah, if
it's
you get a chance, get something with Spore or Sleep Powder and just go try it out. It's
mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Something
it's
we've had for
God.
like 4 generations in a row.
yeah, and then all of a
Even
sudden they
BESP had it,
yeah.
and that wasn't even a game made by Game Freak.
Jesus Christ, who would have thought that a game by a company that's only developed a sword system make a better optimized game than the main creators?
Right.
I don't know.
Moving on. Have you guys messed with sandwiches?
Nope. I haven't made
Never.
one sandwich.
No. Okay.
Not yet. Not yet. When
I
I
will go
complete the
over the
Pokédex
sandwich mechanic.
and yeah, go ahead.
So it's everything that they said it would do. It gives you certain powers, and it's like basically cooking mama, but like in the smallest microcosm of the game.
Hmm.
You buy your ingredients and you try different combinations to get different things. If you go to the sandwich shop, I can't remember what it's called, and talk to the guy because he
I
has
think they
like the
call it
golden,
Subway.
yeah, has the
Yeah,
golden
that's
text
it.
box. And when you see a character with the golden text box, that's like your cue to like, hey, talk to them because they'll give you something.
Hmm.
If you talk to him, he'll actually give you recipes for sandwiches, and you can go through it, and it has like a bunch of stuff like egg power, gives you more eggs, XP, which I'm still struggling to think because it says XP and then it says a type, so it's like you'll get more XP for a type. I think that's
Hmm.
supposed to tie into mass outbreaks. So like, hey, there's a mass outbreak, go over there, eat your fairy sandwich, and then just auto battle a bunch of fairy types to get more XP.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's the biggest one, which is encounter power, which is like basically your only way of getting some Pokemon because there are a number of times where I was playing and I'm looking for a specific Pokemon and it'll be like, oh, hey, here's the icon. It's on this map. And I'll look, you know, everywhere and it's not there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, let me try eating an encounter power normal sandwich. And oh, hey, look, there's a billion Slackoth that
Hmm.
I didn't find before.
Because they only work for a short while, don't they? Like half an hour.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
And you
So.
can overwrite a sandwich by eating another sandwich.
Hmm. I think
So,
there's a video Austin John posted today about the most efficient way of like getting a shiny Pokemon in a mass outbreak.
yeah.
And so, I mean, it looked pretty legit. I just gotta basically get to that point where I guess could get the best odds, which is 1 in 512. But it looked
I did
pretty efficient.
spend like I'd say $400,000 buying like 50 of each ingredient, other
Mm,
than the ones that you get from raids.
yeah.
And
'Cause-
it's definitely helped me finish catching the Pokedex. I would say it is necessary for some Pokemon like
yeah.
Spiritomb.
Yeah.
I think Spiritomb doesn't spawn unless you have the sandwich. I could be wrong about that.
Oh,
But they
interesting.
do offer a lot of benefits. It is kind of tedious because like even you can do your own sandwich, like just going off the rest, or going off your whichever you want to do. But there are like certain recipes that they give you, and I was hoping that they would just automatically make the sandwich and you don't have to go through, putting everything down,
Hmm.
but you still have to do it.
Yeah. Uh,
Picnicking also serves as a way of like cycling spawns. So if you go to it works well in massive outbreaks, but if you go out there, there's a bunch of Pokemon. You do a picnic, it'll despawn all those Pokemon, and once you come out, it'll respawn them all in, and they're not the same Pokemon. They're different spawns.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
So theoretically, you could shiny hunt that way if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
There will be some degenerate who will do full odds picnic hunting, where he just doesn't eat a sandwich, but he just keeps picnicking everywhere to see it.
Yeah, that's what he was doing in his video. Was he was picnic hunting and he found a shiny Florges that way.
Yeah.
And
But it's kind of like curry. I'd like to replace curry hunting, which is making the curry and then finding a shiny Pokemon.
I only made curry out of obligation to get Keldeo, and that was it.
Yeah, I still haven't done that one yet.
I never messed with curry in Sword and Shield. I was like, this is too weird for me. And now with sandwiches, it's like, is this what we're gonna get every time?
Yeah, we're
like
just gonna get a food gimmick.
If we have like a if Gen 10 is set in Canada, it's got to be poutine.
Oh my god!
I was thinking,
yes.
I was thinking about Gen 10.
Gen 10.
I was gonna say it was gonna be China.
Oh man, honestly though, like that's the one thing. If we're just gonna have a side tangent, like the one food I've always wanted to make at home, but I never got around to, is fucking poutine. I've always wanted to have a legitimate like serving of that. But there's no restaurants in this area over here in California that have poutine on their menu. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take it in my own hands at this point, because it's like it has everything I love. It has cheese, it has potatoes, it has gravy. Like, what more can you love? Like,
yeah, it's not super complicated to make, but if of course you're invited to come visit me at some point. But there's so many places. There's a literal place called the Big Poutineery. Oh. And you can get like deluxe poutines with like chicken and bacon and like all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
Microblog in person in Canada. Let's fucking go.
Do you guys have any red wine in Canada?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's where I get my best ideas from.
I think we got everything that you guys have except not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We just yeah.
I was gonna say another feature that we've dabbled with. I don't think we've used it to its full extent. But what do you think of the Union Circle and like the co-opness of the game?
So I have a group of friends and we've like paired up, so like the four of us are running around, but I find it's not really worth doing after a while, especially because like the only point really is to find raids to eventually join.
Yeah.
But if you're in battle or in a menu, then you miss the notification, so you have to like be talking with your friends, like, okay, everyone ready? And then there's communication errors. So what we've been doing the past couple days is not joining together and just doing codes for raids.
Yeah,
and that's way
like
easier.
how it was in Gen 8.
I'll probably end up doing that now, honestly. Like, Union Circles seem to like run pretty shitted, but I honestly would rather just be in my own thing and then just join a raid when it's needed. Like you guys said in Sword and Shield. I feel like that's going to be my preferred method.
Yeah, we had so many communication errors, and if it's like four of us and one person gets communication, okay, now we got to quit, join it back, and then one other person gets.
Yeah, that's a huge problem, is that you have to destroy the room to join another room to get everybody back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, "Oh, play the game co-op," but I don't think that there's like a mechanic to do that. I mean, if you could double battle a gym leader, then yeah, that'd be awesome. But I don't think that functionality exists or could exist in a balanced state. Because let's say I come in and like, hey, let me help you finish your 7th and 8th gym. I'm pretty sure I got 4 level 100s already.
And like, I guess I haven't experimented, but do wild Pokemon show up for everyone? So you could steal my shiny that I see in front of me?
Yeah, that was confirmed.
That is possible, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that would be kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
But it's like, even then, it's like, does your shiny charm affect the rates of the Pokemon in their person's world, or does it not matter?
It's probably all based on the host, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I feel like this is just the feature they tacked on to tack on, or didn't have enough time to like flesh out.
That would be the ultimate deception if somebody were to steal your shiny in your own world.
Oh my god, I would quit.
Bono.
I would swallow my cartridge.
Yeah.
Just real quick, my friend Butterpat just mentioned that Finizen can only evolve while in Union Circle, so that's one useful thing of doing it.
Yeah, I think that was one thing we were going back and forth on, but before the game came out, we were like, I heard it evolves in, you have to do multiplayer, and he's like, no, it does the switch in and switch out, and it evolves. And then it turns out it evolves in the Union Circle, and its ability is the switch out. Yeah,
0 to hero, yeah.
It's a little heart on his little chest.
I was so disappointed. I'm like, this can't be real.
I was scratching my head about it, because I'm like, there's a spot next to the thing, but what level does it evolve at?
Yeah. And also with Palafin, its ability, it's like when it turns from the with 0 to hero, its base attack is like 160. That's absurd. It's
It
just
hasn't happened yet, but on the Smogon or Pokemon Showdown,
Mhm.
it hasn't been banned yet. I think it's going under testing this weekend.
It's under investigation.
It's under investigation. The Pokemon that have been banned so far, like immediately, were the Paradox Misdreavus was like insta banned. The Greavard dog insta banned. The Palafin is being under investigation, and I think they just added another two in Golden Go and Annihilate are also going to be under investigation.
Jesus.
Wow, I know
Not
who
to
to
say
put on my
that
team.
matters in VGC, but at least in single battle, they believe that it's too powerful to be, as part of the regular lineup.
Yeah, I think what I want to do is have a team of just Palafin and have them all tail flip into each other.
Yeah.
That's
It'd
a
be
big-
really gimmicky.
That's a real big brain method right there. We'll see how it plays.
Yeah.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it plays out.
We'll see how it plays out. Yeah,
Although
it's
I
pretty
am down
strong.
for that, so let me know how it goes.
I have
I
seen
don't know if I'll
people
go that
play
far.
around
Yeah.
it, so I don't think it's like it's definitely overpowered, but I do see people like play around it, like switching into a steel type,
Yeah.
and then they try to go for like a fire type terrestrialization, but it doesn't learn any fire type moves. So you can
yeah.
play around it. It just takes a little bit of knowledge, and I think with time, people, it'll be a one-trick pony by then.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of going off of that real quick. I forgot that Terra Blast was a move until I was
Oh,
taught it in
yeah.
game.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can take advantage of that type to use as an attack, and it uses the strongest stat that you have, which is really cool. I like that.
That is
Yeah.
cool. I haven't used
It's like
Terra
hidden
Blast.
power, but better.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't used it yet either, but it's definitely something to
I will
consider.
say for terrestrializing, it sucks in game because you can only use it once, and then you have to go to a Pokemon Center.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's not like Mega Evolution where you can just keep, smashing it, or Z moves. It's so dumb. Like
That's
I mean,
really
it's,
weird that
honestly,
they would
why
have
would I
that.
even do it?
Yeah, that almost seems like something that they try to do to like try and balance it. But even then, like you said, with Mega Evolutions and Z Crystal stuff, you didn't have to go to a Pokemon Center to do that. You could just do them whatever you want. So it's
I
just
didn't do
weird.
it in the Elite Four because I didn't need to, but I wonder if you can terrestrialize, let's say, the first Elite Four member, and then you can't do it for the rest of them because technically you don't go to a Pokemon Center.
Oh,
You-
I'll try
No,
that out once I get there.
I terrestrialized in every battle. Like
You
I was
did?
able to,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
that one it
So
didn't
they-
deplete.
So the rule for that kind of just got flubbed on the Elite Four.
Yeah.
But if it was like hard set, then yeah, you'd only be able to do it in one of those 4 battles. 'Cause we are
yeah,
back to back.
use sparing. That would be better though, at least so that way the continuity is there, but also to really make it like a challenge. Yeah. Also, look how shitty the textures are on these bricks over here. Oh my lord.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Man,
Oh.
when you go to the Team Star bases, the flags on the outside of the base are
Yeah.
like awful. The
Have you
textures on
seen
it.
like when you walk close up to walls, like the polygons like shift and have
Yeah.
you seen that one? That's
yeah,
oh my God,
that's
so
I
terrible.
call it Salvador Daliing.
Ugh, so
Yeah.
disorienting.
Yeah.
No, it's a feature of the region. The region.
yeah, the region's
Yeah.
ever
morphs.
changing. It's like the Earth
rock
Pangea,
rock
you
shift.
know. Yeah.
There's one NPC that mentions it, so it's canon.
Yeah, and
Right.
one Pokemon's moving everything, and yeah, his name is Gabagool.
I'll jump quickly into breeding so that we can get on to the more juicier stuff. But breeding has been completely changed in this game. There aren't any daycare centers.
Yeah.
Breeding is all taken care of in picnics.
Insane.
The Yeah, the community is, I'd say, like 70-30 split. 70% think it's great. Another 30% think it sets it back a little bit.
Yeah.
On the good hand, you can stack eggs. So if you do the egg power level 3 or egg power level 2, the egg timer will go off crazy, and it'll give you 10. It's the little basket you walk up to, it'll have 10 eggs,
Mhm.
but it only stacks up to 10 eggs. So if it maxes out and you're not paying attention, you'll lose out on potentially, so many eggs. And there's no
okay.
indicator that tells you it's full or anything. You have to check it.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
If you want to breed Pokemon, and let's say you do it with a Ditto, or if you do 2 of the same species of Pokemon, if you want that specific egg, it can only be those 2 Pokemon in. Because if you have a Ditto and 5 other Pokemon, whatever egg you're going to get is going to be random between one of those 5 Pokemon.
That's strange.
Oh.
So, yeah. So if specifically if you're looking for one Pokemon, it's best to do it with just 2 Pokemon in your party, a
Yeah.
Ditto and that, or
Gotcha.
2 of the same species to do that.
That's
As far as
odd.
I can tell, there is no Oval Charm. So that does not increase eggs. The only way to increase the
Eggs
rate
with
at which you get eggs
sandwiches.
is the sandwiches.
Everything is a
Yeah.
sandwich.
Like I said, people love the fact that you can get 10 eggs at a time, but people also are mad about you potentially losing out on a ton of them. There's no indicator or anything.
Yeah.
Another thing they changed, at least that I could see, is with egg hatching, because in Gen 8 you used to be able to like run around in a circle, and then if you had all 5 eggs in your party with the flame body, they would hatch one after the other because it was counted on steps. In this game, it seems to have like some hidden cycle timer, because you'll do it, the first egg will hatch, and sure, you can, it's only like another 10 or 15 steps before the next one hatches, but it is like, a whole cycle of whatever is counting before it hatches again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like it's like I missed where I could do the 5 eggs in one go, throw them in the box, and do whatever, and then just get the next 5 and go from there. Also, with that, mass release is not a feature in this game like it was in Arceus, so you're stacking
Oh,
Pokemon
shit,
up
really?
really quick. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no mass release.
Ugh.
That's a shame.
Sorry to pull the curtain over.
So essentially, you gotta wait till Pokemon Home if you want a mass release.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then,
Ugh.
Which also brings its own things, because
they did do bulk
surprisingly,
selling in the Pokemart though.
that is cool. Bulk selling and bulk buying is neat. It's a feature I didn't ask for, but I'm glad it's there.
Mm-hmm.
You
What
can
does
buy
that mean?
You can buy multiple items in one purchase. So if you want 10 Pokeballs and 10
Oh.
potions, and it also gives you a little receipt, which I think is funny.
Yeah, so essentially you press plus before you grab any items, and then you just pick multiple items from what they sell, and then you just buy it all in one invoice.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is, it's
Um,
very convenient with selling items.
With the Pokemarts, I believe they're tied to badges, so you'll unlock more items to buy as you get more badges, which is great. The big gripe I have is with the sandwich shops and the other stores that they have in the game. So there's like a bunch of different restaurants that each sell a different item. You'll have a stand that sells crepes, or a stand that sells ice cream, a restaurant that sells seafood, and yada yada yada, whatever. But they all don't have the same menu. Some will have like 2 of the same items, but then have different items at a different place, and there's like no telling like what place you'll go to that has what. I really would have preferred it if they did that, and say you went to the ice cream cart, and the ice cream cart gave you encounter power ice, and had like one of the standard ones like egg hatching power 1, or encounter power whatever, and you know that. So if you went to another city and you saw the ice cream stand, and let's say you wanted to catch the Titan, you're like, that guy, I need to go talk to that guy and buy whatever he has. Because as it is now, you have to literally walk into each, not even building, just each menu to see, okay, no, he doesn't have it. Okay, on to the next one. Does this guy have it? No, on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Delibird Express. There are 2 Delibird Express in the main city, and they sell different items. So one of them sells like the choice items, and then another one will sell like razor claws and evolutionary stones. And it's like, how, other than like remembering which one it is, you're kind of just like you lucked out. I would have preferred if they kept it like the Pokemart, and as you played, and as there was like the chain, whatever, you'd be like, oh, okay, now I can get razor claws, now I can buy evolutionary stones and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
as it is now, you just have to like Google, where do I buy razor claws?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating. Like once you get to that point of needing those things.
Yeah.
There
absolutely.
are even sunstones, and there are sunstone, and some evolutionary items are locked behind that what's it, the auction in Port Marinda. So you literally have to like wait, and they'll have like a sunstone for auction, and then you have to bid up against people. I like the idea. I just really wish it was more than once a day or whatever timer it is, 'cause I tried to mess with the switch clock and it just wouldn't do it.
Weird.
But I do like the
Speaking,
bidding aspect.
Just kind of speaking about shops and whatnot, I really hate that you can't change your outfit or buy new outfits.
Yes.
Why would
Zero
they?
drip.
Why would they do that?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Make it be like Fresh
just-
Prince, where you just have the jacket inverted or something different. But no.
Sure. Yeah, like I got this cool helmet to wear, but like everything looks shitty on it.
Yes.
Like
It's the worst part. Oh my god, I cannot stand that. I'm happy they brought that up, because I probably would have forgot.
I hope that if they do DLC, which they likely will, that they add some outfits at least, or
Mhm.
Hmm.
just revamp the entire thing just to be like it was before.
And it's not
Yeah.
like there isn't precedent because every member of Team Star is wearing something different, yet they're still students of the academy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I do
And it's
expect that
yeah.
they're probably going to announce the DLC, at least the first part of it, if they are doing two parts. I think they're going to announce it on Pokemon Day next year. So February
Yeah.
27th, 2023. I have a very good feeling they'll probably announce it.
Well, I'll
That's
save
what
it
I was
for when we
thinking
get
too.
to spoilers, but
Yeah.
there is definitely something that is like screaming DLC in the game.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Cool.
But yeah, I agree with you. There definitely should be more clothing options. You should definitely be given the chance to dress up as something other than a student.
Hmm.
Giving us different winter, summer, and spring uniforms is not like a consolation prize. It's just
Yeah.
literally 4 outfits, and you can only change the gloves, the hat, glasses, socks, and shoes. It's like it's not enough.
And and the backpack, that's really important.
I will give them
Yeah.
a thing on the backpack because at least it's not as bad as the male backpack in Gen 8. That thing is
Oh my god.
ugly.
Yeah, I like because I had Sword as my main or as my first playthrough, and I played as a boy because as a cis male, I play as the boy. But
How
then
dare you?
on I'm sorry, but on Shield I played. Actually, this is the first time I played as a female character was in Shield, and honestly, I liked it way better because there were way more clothing and style options. And I
Mhm.
dripped my shit the fuck out every time we did the Dynamax adventures. I was a different outfit every single time. Different clothing, different hair, different everything. I was a different character every time. But with this one, it's like the clothing, the main clothing, the shirt and the pants are always the same. It's like, yeah, you can change your shoes and your backpack and whatever. But it's just, that's the centerpiece, the literal centerpiece, and you
Yeah.
can't change it. Yeah, it's like
And
adding different toppings to a burger. It's like, yeah, there are other toppings, but sometimes you want to change the meat to like chicken or like a Beyond Meat
yeah.
or something.
It's like well with I do kind of appreciate how the character models like all kind of like are uh, from what I understand they're all identical, right? So the base
I mean, not the
appearance that
buff
you
girls
choose.
walking around the region. They're definitely specific.
I
Yeah.
Why can't I be a buff girl? I want to be a buff girl.
I just want to be
Um,
somebody that looks like they could bench press somebody else or squash their head like a grape.
I want to go in without any Pokemon and just beat up everything.
Yeah, yeah
But like
Joel used Mach Punch.
I was say, it's funny because
yes.
somebody definitely made that aesthetic choice because there are like normal female models, and
Yeah.
then there are the big buff ones, and I'm like, okay,
There's quite a few of
somebody
them too.
Yeah.
there are so somebody on the team
So
kind of let their soul into the game a little bit.
yeah,
Hey, I'm not
I mean
complaining, but there
that's
are
the
a lot of
dream
buff
of
ladies in
death.
this region.
It's the dream of death
Um,
by Snoo Snoo. I mean,
but like when you choose your appearance at the start, like there's like the male and female appearances, and I think that determines what they call you in game if it's a he or
yeah,
she.
yeah,
Mm,
But then otherwise you can change your hair to look like a girl if you chose a
yeah,
boy appearance.
mhm,
But then that's the only thing
yeah,
that makes you different is like
yeah.
your
It's just
face and hair.
yeah, but other than that, the
The
pronouns
body
are
all looks the same.
Yeah, it's all relegated to that.
yeah. They
Yeah,
didn't do like different eyelashes and eyebrows, but in
yeah.
reality, what does that change?
Everything,
Yeah.
everything.
And speaking of the beginning,
Eyelashes
did
will
you
also
have
determine
any
how many shinies you get too.
did you have any glitches with the starters following you?
No, never did.
No.
I think one of them got lost when I was walking down that little trail.
I did a loop around the house, and I think Sprigatito got caught on the fence. So like, I gradually lost them as I went down the trail. Like they just kept getting stuck and just like running into like a lamppost or a
You
fence.
imagine you get down there and they're like, where the fuck did the Pokemon go? What'd you do? Like,
Yeah.
What'd you
I don't
do?
know.
Yeah, I was just like, I
So,
don't know.
All right, you get a Magikarp then. You lose
mhm.
that.
Exactly. You lost your privilege of a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're stuck with a Psyduck that's behind the counter over here at the library.
Right.
But,
Oh, speaking of which, there are I think it's a Shuppet and two Noibat that are hanging out under a staircase in the school. I saw them the
oh.
other day. I thought that was pretty funny.
Like to battle
like,
or
oh.
just cause?
No, they're just hiding out there. Like literally,
Like,
you have to like turn the camera around,
like,
but they're literally just
like the
hiding under
kids
the
in high
stairs.
school that would smoke weed under the benches at the soccer stadium or the football stadium.
Basically,
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. So let's see. What else can we talk about? We've pretty much gone over most things on here. Do you guys
Yep.
want to
Yeah.
go over the plot?
that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
we pretty
go
much.
for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Flash warning, spoiler.
Spoilers.
Leave.
There are more
leave
spoilers. So,
Now. Leave now.
you get. Well, again, it's open world, quote unquote, and so there are three paths you could go by, but in the long run, There's still time to change the road you're on. No, sorry. Basically, see, I gotta interject music in some way, but I might get copyright struck by Led Zeppelin. But anyways, so
Yeah, I
there's.
got a Led Zeppelin tattoo here.
Holy shit, that's so dope.
Hey.
That's so
Yeah.
sick. I like that.
You can take that out of the YouTube video.
I'll use that as
we'll
a thumbnail.
We'll censor it.
I'll use that as a just get censored right there. Like,
Man
oh my
pulls
god,
out questionable on stream.
man shows extra skin under his clothes? Question
Yeah, we need a
mark?
we need a clickbait title.
Yeah,
we're gonna do the faces like.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my god. Yeah. Jesus Christ. So we could there's the Victory Road, which is your standard adventure, so the 8 gyms you lead for. That's the main course, quote unquote, if we're referencing food still. There is the Path of Titans, Path of Legends with the Titans in there. And there are also the Starfall Street, or Operation Starfall, which is going down to fighting the organization known as Team Star. And so I don't feel like we really need to delve too much into Victory Road, because it's kind of just the standard stuff we already know. Is like battle the gyms, do their challenge.
Yeah. It is. I will say
it.
that each person associated with each Nimona obviously being tied to the Victory Road, Arvin with tied to the Titan Path, and then Cassiopeia and the other girl Penny, who's the support team that helps give you stuff as you complete the missions. They're not rivals, but I will say this for more so than other Pokemon, they're actually characters, which
Also,
like really blew me away.
Look at the students, by the way, in this classroom. By the way, this is one thing that people always talk about, but holy shit!
Oh, yeah, doing their things. But yeah, they're like actual characters. Unfortunately, the gym leaders aren't characters in this game. I feel like some of them have like a couple of lines, but they're just basically badge dispensers.
Yeah, I kind of felt disappointed by that. Like, I want to at least see them before I battle them.
Right. See what they do.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's really nothing. But they did give it the whole 100 yards on each of the things. I really felt Nemona's like drive to battle and eagerness to like, try out new things. Arvin, I really felt like he cared about his dog. Don't know what that feels like, but yeah. I know that he cared enough about it.
You gotta feel sad. That's all you need to
I
do.
thought that Arvin was a dick at first. And then when I heard about his dog, I was like, oh no, he actually has a heart, and he's not just some asshole like Falco or something.
And with Penny, obviously she has that like, reserved child, introvert thing, and they really go through that with her talking. Don't know how far you've gotten, but I do like her interactions with the legendary Pokemon after like the third one, where it starts popping out and they have a little bit of an interaction there.
Yeah.
With stuff like that. I really like it. Really enjoyed it. I really, it's like I think what they wanted with X and Y, but they just exceeded it beyond everything in this game.
Yeah.
Because I actually feel like they're people and they're actually friends with the character. Mind you, you are still a soulless monster that's only capable of some facial animations.
Yeah, and killing.
Yeah, and killing. Obviously, a lot of people are saying voice acting would have benefited.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
I can only agree that
they did it with like every promotional video lately. Like Iona, the electric gym leader, she had a voice actress, so it feels right.
Gen 10.
Maybe?
Gen 10 voice acting?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Gen 10 voice acting. That's the next thing. That's the next
Cross
gimmick.
our fingers.
Yeah, but it's gonna run still like it's gonna run at like 2 frames a second, and
hell.
It's gonna be like a terrible dub, like in English dub. It's just gonna be like the mouth's gonna be moving like this, but then the talking's just gonna happen, and it's just like gonna.
Granted, it wasn't like beyond anything we've ever heard, but even the Legend of Zelda had voice acting in a limited capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I feel like
even if it's just like little like exclamations, like "oh,
yeah,
ooh," like that. Ooh, that would be a start.
Right.
Yeah, I could totally.
Or somewhere.
I could totally see that happening. Oh man.
I can't see it detracting from the game. I think it could only enhance it.
Do you think it's gonna happen in Tears of the Kingdom?
There'll definitely be voice acting. I think there'll probably be a lot more voice acting, considering how well it was. The people enjoyed it in that game, even in its limited capacity.
Yeah, they better have like the best voice actors for that game.
Because I think if you cut all the voice acting in that game, it's like under 30 minutes. which
Yeah.
could just be a sign of Nintendo or whatever, like not wanting to front the bill, and we can do a whole tirade into corporate practices later.
Yeah,
But you know how it
that's
is.
the let's argue episode of Babblers. Is Nintendo, does Nintendo care about their employees? Question mark. No.
Right.
Uh,
So,
yeah.
like Alex said, with Victory Road, your goal is to battle the gym leaders, and they do throw in a little couple of story stuff. Like, I believe after your fourth badge, they compliment you on getting so far, and they're like, "Yeah, by this point, most of the students drop out, and like 10% go on from here." So
Mhm.
you really feel like, oh, like this is cool. Nimona obviously is like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with battling, and is like constantly like, oh hey, let's battle here, let's battle there. I am a little bit questionable because obviously they talk about her being champion rank, which means she's already gone through the Pokemon League. But I'm also like, okay, well if she's done that, why is she still showing up at every gym?
Mhm.
Like, because I
She's
feel like they're
a
trying to be like,
stalker.
yeah, she's like, oh, she's doing the gym challenge too, but obviously she's already done it, so why would she be doing it again?
Mhm.
Hmm.
I feel like they could have explained that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna. I mean, you've gone through it, so I was hoping for some kind of twist with that. But yeah, that'd be kind of interesting to see, like, some motivation of
Oh,
why
we'll
she's
we'll get we'll get to the
obsessed with you.
we'll get to the twist. Don't worry
Yeah.
about that.
Oh,
We're just
okay.
Yeah.
starting.
Okay.
Man, this
You
plot
do
twists like a pretzel, baby.
meet
No.
La
That's,
Primera, Kita, who has the most questionable hair design in
it just
Pokemon
looks like
that
there's like
thus
a
far.
Nihilego on her head, like Lusamine in
It's
Sun and
just
Moon.
it's just it's just ratty, and she's
Yeah,
dressed
I
up
don't
in the
like that.
suit and like professional, but she has like super ratty hair,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I don't understand, because like even like Nemona's hair looks like the game
Well
hair,
kept.
well kept, but her hair is just like insanely bad.
Yeah. It's like bordering on being dreads, which I
Even
mean,
on her
you could
character
even
model.
take care of dreads really well, but like her hair just looks
Yeah,
fucking messy.
I mean you do have
Yeah.
an option for dreads in the game, and they act
Yeah.
like they would.
Yeah.
And it's even worse because it's exacerbated by like the animations, because she'll be standing, and then when she moves, the hair physics will be like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah," and then settle back after she turns
Yeah.
and does something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going on with that, but
Yeah.
that could use some work.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually,
Yeah.
it does culminate into Nimona telling you about the Elite Four, and going to challenge them. But we'll get to that later. I kind of want to do it like how I did it, and we'll get to like the end point of each thing, and
Yeah,
then
that's what I did too.
we'll get to that. So
Uh,
if you do the Path of the Titans, I think Alex, you can go ahead and take this one. You
okay.
finished it.
Yeah. So Path of Titans is, I kind of brushed on it earlier, where you're trying to, well, you're trying to figure out what's going on with these like oversized Pokemon that they're causing havoc in certain areas of the map. And so you go over there, you investigate it, and you find those Pokemon. They're oversized. They remind me of Totem Pokemon in Sun and Moon.
Arvin
Yeah.
is the one that puts you onto
Yeah.
it and
Mhm.
reads from the book,
Yeah.
depending on the game, the Scarlet or the Violet book, and tells you about this rare herb or whatever, and how that's what he wants to do for the treasure hunt.
Yeah. And he wants you to try and find these herbs, HMs,
The good herbs.
and yeah, the good, you know what I mean. But yeah, you go over there, you battle these Pokemon, and after you battle the Titan, it's a two-stage kind of thing, or like two waves, I guess. So you battle it and you almost knock it out, but then it like scurries away, and then you go back over with Arvin and you battle it, and
Yeah,
you
it flees to like its den, and it
yeah,
reveals like, hey,
exactly.
it's been stocking up some good
Yeah, it's
herb
been
in the.
eating that good. It's been eating the herbs like edibles, basically, and
Mhm.
then you take some of that good shit for yourself. But then your ride Pokemon is like, no, I want some of that, and
What's funny
you give CBD to your animal.
What's funny is that he makes the sandwiches, but he's like, let me grab that herb and make a sandwich out of it. But he doesn't like elaborate, saying like, oh, let me grab the herb and use it as like a topping. So I'm like, when I first saw it, I was like, wait, did he just make a sandwich with just the herb and two slices of bread?
He just made garlic bread, but with more
Yeah.
steps. Yeah, it's just the most overpowered garlic bread.
Hmm.
Have you ever said no to giving Koraidon or
I
Miraidon the
didn't.
sandwich?
No, I
looked.
should
I looked.
have.
You
I looked.
it doesn't matter. It just loops back. It's like, oh, maybe you should give it yes or no,
Oh,
and you can just
oh.
say no forever,
So
really.
yeah,
I couldn't. I
honestly,
couldn't say
it's
no to that dumb lizard face. Come
yeah,
on.
Yeah.
exactly. See, like right over
And
here,
but
look at Gita's hair. It's
Now this
so
soulless machine, on the other hand, I could tell
yeah.
no to that thing.
Oh, so you did end up buying the other one.
I did end up buying it. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
nice.
Yeah.
What I wished happened though is if you said no, I wish that it would eat Arvin's sandwich instead. That's what I was hoping for.
That'd be
But no, it
hilarious.
doesn't.
You're like, okay, fuck the dog, I guess. In a figurative sense, not in a literal sense, by the way. This isn't a Blink-182 song.
You don't do that to family.
No, I don't have friends, I have family.
Which is funny because like it's a really compelling story because Arvin has beef with the legendary, and when it's presented that it wants the sandwich, Arvin's like, "That's not for you, you dumb
Yeah.
lizard."
Yeah.
You slime.
Yeah. You wretch.
And then you feed it, and he's all like, "Oh, why did you throw away my good sandwich to that dumb thing?"
Why'd you make the animal eat your weed? And yeah, and then he shows why he's like giving his dog
I think
narcotics.
it's on the second one is when he reveals the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mappo Stiff.
Yeah, Mappo Stiff. That's pretty much been like it got attacked really bad in the Nether Realm, and it's like dying. Yeah, it's dying pretty much. And so he's like, I have to bring it back. It almost reminds me of like Full Metal Alchemist in a way. He's like, no, it's not dead. We are gonna bring this thing back to life.
Yeah, he paints it pretty bleak because he's like, it got injured, but it can't be cured with a Pokemon Center, and it can't be cured with medicine. And I was under the impression that like it was gonna be like a story of like him having a disease and learning to like let go. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, damn,
oh yeah, I thought that they were gonna straight up let the dog die. I honestly thought the dog was gonna die.
I thought so too. I assumed it was like old age, and that hasn't really been touched on in the games. It's like, they age and they get old.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting.
I mean, they had the Dead Raticate in Gen 1 with Gary, but that was it.
Right.
And yeah, this one is just like, nope, it's okay.
I'll say the last two really start to tug on your heartstrings because the dog starts to like bark and like, weakly starts to like get up and move around.
Yeah.
Which is all definitely has to be mocap. There's no way they have those custom animations anywhere in the game code.
Probably.
Or like all those cutscenes have it.
Yeah, I think they had Benedict Cumberbatch with a mocap suit.
with the weak... All right, I want you to act like a weak dog.
Oh, I'm a cat. I'm a cat.
Quick interjection here. There is the option to skip cutscenes in this game as a feature, which is cool. But I tried it because I played a second profile in Spanish to get like a other language starter. And when you do the skip cutscenes, it doesn't skip any like the pushing the dialogue button. It's definitely like the pre-rendered cutscenes, and it is so terrible. Because what you expect from a game is that it'll play and then it'll give you the option press F to skip or press whatever. It doesn't do that. It literally just cuts to when that cutscene would end. So in the beginning, they have like the little thing with all the starters and like running around in the water and stuff like that. It'll play. It's supposed to play when you get to the house, but when you get to the house and you have cutscenes off, it literally just slash cuts to straight Clive saying, "Oh, which starter do you want?"
I mean, it's not wrong. Like, technically,
it's just jarring.
Yeah,
it's whiplash. It's like game whiplash.
Yeah,
I don't understand why it's a setting because, I mean, I sort of get it, but why wouldn't it just have a pop up saying press plus to skip or something?
Yeah, they had that in Breath of the Wild 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Nope, that just
it's
makes
such
sense.
a weird setting.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, you feed the dog.
Yeah, you feed the dog. Yeah, end scene. That's it. Thanks, guys, for watching. You feed the dog. Make sure you feed your dogs and feed your dogs over here by subscribing. No.
You can't pet the dog though. So
yeah, that's the worst part. It's like you could like crouch and stare at the dog like condescendingly because it's like, oh, you're a smaller creature. Fuck you. But you can't pet the dog. You'll never know what the dog is doing. You could pet the dog and ask who's a good boy, but you can't ask how's the good boy.
Another thing I forgot to mention is that you obviously get the legendary very early on. Arvin gives you the Pokeball because it's technically Arvin's family's Pokemon.
Yeah.
And you get called up to the director's office when he realizes you have it, and then you talk to the game's professor, either Professor Sada or Professor Turo, who comment on it and are kind of just like, oh, now you have the Pokemon, take care of it, whatnot. But she also kind of pushes you on to like the Herba Mystica stuff, saying that it's not in its full power and it needs, time or needs something to help it move along.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of rolls you into the Herba Mystica stuff. Arvin kind of gives you an argument, but he's obviously a little bit of a dick in the beginning, so you don't want to do it. But the professor and stuff is trying to like get you to do that more so. Obviously you have to do it, but it's like more of a narrative thing to get you to go.
Mm-hmm.
And after each time you feed the sandwich to both the dog and your
lizard,
your lizard, they'll both get a little bit better, and the lizard will gain a new ability, which is to use to traverse the region, but also is like an end goal to like, oh, what will this thing do when it has all the Urban Mysticas?
Yeah, it's basically just a shittier version of the ride Pokemon in Legends. You could glide for a little while before it just goes down and then just drop. It's straight up like it relinquishes you if you go too far with the gliding.
Yeah,
And
and I noticed like you can turn off the gliding, but you can't turn it back on. You have to hit the
Yeah,
ground before you do it
exactly.
again.
Mm-hmm.
You literally fall like a sack of bricks like if it runs out.
You have a speed up ability. You have climbing. You have
Swimming.
Yeah, swimming. You have a higher jump. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I will say the animations for Miraidon are a lot better than Koraidon because I showed Alex the swimming, and I'm pretty sure you just kind of like glide on the water, and Koraidon's like,
yeah. It's like it's doing his best.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing. Is doing his
it's
best.
like frog. It's like doing the frog swimming kind of thing.
I feel like that. Like it's like neck gizzard thing should like inflate, something.
Cool.
But I mean, no, that just I don't know. That just makes sense.
Like he said, your guys' wheel thing will like revolve, and it's actually a motorcycle, whereas Koraidon literally is just running across the land.
Yeah. That's but pretty much like you save the dog. The dog's okay, and that'll end up leading to the other plot thing. But as we mentioned before, there's 3 stories, and they all will kind of like intersect in a way. So getting to the third story is about Team Star and Operation
Joel,
Starfile.
Go ahead and go start us off on that, or at least what you know, and we'll jump in when you need to.
Yeah. I haven't finished all the bases, so I'll have a point where I don't know what's gonna happen. So yeah, with what's his name? I keep on wanting to call him Dr. Clavicle. But
pretty much Clavel.
Clive is his nickname.
Clivel.
Clavel?
Clavel or Clavel.
Yeah. Is it Professor or Doctor or whatever? It doesn't matter.
He's a professor.
Mr.
Director.
C.
Yeah.
Director Clavel.
C-Man.
C-Man. So Seaman. So
Jesus.
he basically like tasks you to visit these Team Star bases, and they're basically bullies from the school that have I don't know if they've dropped out or they just hate the school so much and they're kind of rebelling. So they kind of act
they're
like
still technically students,
mobilized.
but they haven't gone to classes in like a while, which is why he's like, hey, you're a kid. Go see what these fellow kids are up to.
Just like such a weird concept because it's like this region is so dependent on this school. It's like, why is everyone a student?
Yeah.
Right.
So they have these bases set up.
They do touch on that, but you have to take the history class to find out.
You're a student to the corporate machine.
The history class actually goes into why there's the school.
Okay, I guess I need to go to school.
It's all about order and control.
Yeah. So they're kind of against that, and with each of these bases, they kind of have I don't want to call them bosses at the base because there is a main boss, which I haven't seen yet. But feel free to spoil it later. But so yeah, basically you're tasked with visiting these bases by a hidden figure, Cassiopeia, and I guess at least I don't know their intentions, but basically just bring those students back because they've missed so many classes and they need good grades. I don't really know.
Yeah.
So yeah, with each of those bases, I think we touched on it a little bit, but you get crafting parts and new recipes for crafting TMs. Anything else that you get from those? Is that the only reward from each of them?
Aside from like sense of accomplishment by destroying rebel programs.
Yeah. You get the league points too.
Maintaining order for the corpos.
Go back to class, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, you get the LP and items, and then crafting TMs who are given to you by Penny, who is a student that you save for some Team Star people.
Right.
As you enter the school, and then with Clive, or the director Clavicle,
C-Man
stumbles upon you talking to the Cassiopeia and Operation Starfall, and kind of like, forces his way into it to try to get these kids back to school.
So the C-Man forces his way.
His alternate persona, Clive. Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you can call him on it every time, and he'll still deny it with
vehement passion.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, that's not me.
No.
Moving on.
But which one did you fight first, by the way?
So when I played through Violet, which is the first one I tried, I went to the dark one first, and then
Good for you.
On the other one, on Scarlet, I went to the fire one first to the east.
Hmm.
Okay.
So the ones that I haven't done are the fighting one, and the top one is the fairy, right?
The fairy,
Are
yeah.
yeah, so
I,
those are the only two that I haven't done
The
yet.
proper order is supposed to be dark, which congratulations, you managed to do it.
mhm.
Fire, I think it's poison.
Poison, yeah.
Yeah, poison, then fairy, then fighting.
That's
It,
technically the order that they want you to
is
go in.
it because of the like story that you get fed,
No, it's the
or
levels.
Yeah, just
oh
like
levels?
level
Gotcha.
wise. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
did Mela first. I did the fire one first because she's my heart
same.
and soul, and then I went into the way that Sarah. Well, at least on the way that it's intended, which is basically on Cerebee's list. And
Right.
so yeah, I was kind of doing them my own way, and then I saw that I was like, you know what, I'll just go with this because I want to have everything like a natural progression in levels.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
also it's like yeah.
the I guess like one of the main feature of visiting those bases is using the auto battle.
Hmm.
You have 10 really slow minutes. 10 is
Yeah,
way too long, but
should
I
have
mean
been
it's a kid
5.
it's a kid's game.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have 10 minutes to knock out 30. Is that the case for all of them? It's
Hmm.
been
30 for
that's
all
what
of
I've
them.
seen anyway. So yeah, depending on the first three Pokemon you bring, you might want to bring one that has a good type advantage. So if it's a fire base, bring water,
Yeah.
or rock or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So using the auto battle, there's vending machines to heal throughout that little challenge, but eventually you fight. Um, I can't remember what they call it now. The
The
big
boss.
the Star Mobile, I
Yeah.
Oh
guess.
yeah. So that
So
was cool when I saw the
yeah,
second one about have them. Like, oh, they all have them.
it's definitely really unique, and it kind of reminds me of the shit, what was it, Omega Ruby and Sapphire, where
Alpha
they had
Sapphire.
those like weird theater fights that you
No,
can
that was
do. I
black
can't
and
remember what
white.
it's called.
That was black and
Oh,
white
black
with
and
like
white.
the yeah, with like the Pokestar
The
Studios.
musical.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. And there was like that robotic Tyranitar and like the
Oh
blimp
yeah, yeah,
thing, and so it kind of reminded me of that. It's like I'm not fighting a Pokemon, I'm fighting like a machine basically.
Yeah.
But there is
Mhm.
Pokemon built inside of it.
Of
So
course.
it's really unique. I kind of just powered my way through it and didn't really think much of it.
Hmm.
But when they announced it through the trailers, I was like, this
Yeah.
is weird. That looks like a Pokemon
Yeah.
on the front. Like
Yeah, I was
so
gonna say it's very Mad Max inspired in my opinion.
yeah, actually, that's a good thing to compare it to. Like, yeah, all these little factions, um, they got their shirts rolled up and like, oh, rebels. Um,
Yeah.
so I could totally see the comparison there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I'm
uh,
trying to do the. Damn, was it? Uh,
oh yeah,
yeah,
they got the
the
Yeah.
or
star.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the gang signs. We're just flipping gang signs by the way on stream by the way. So,
yeah.
Jeff
I,
Bezos,
I
please don't take down the street.
I kind of wish their aesthetic was a little more intimidating because I noticed with each like villain teams lately, they've been getting more and more tame.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Like Team Rocket, it's like, yeah, we're a total terrorist
Yeah, we
organization.
went from
Uh,
kidnapping and extortion to
yeah,
kidnapping and extortion to environmentalists to
yeah.
literal destruction of time and space as we know it
Hmm.
to
Skipping class.
yeah,
Yeah,
to ruling the
skipping
region to
class,
skipping class.
basically. Yeah. I mean, that's the true rebellion right there. Is a rebellion in reality. Rebellion against the
Yeah.
system. That's the true thing. I mean, yeah, you could rebel against the government or whatever, but no, rebel against society, bro. Like
Man,
that's.
you ever heard of this band Against the Machine? I think you'd like them.
Mm, I. Yeah, I about that. I well, actually, let's side tangent. I had tickets to fucking see them next
Oh
year,
yeah.
and the tour got canceled because
Yeah, that's right.
Zach De La Roca tore his Achilles tendon, and it was like maybe like 8% was connected to his leg, and she's just
Oh
like,
shit.
"Fuck, I
What
can't do this." And I've had those tickets
was
for
it?
almost 3 years.
Was it Zach or was it Tom
It was
that
Zach. Yeah, he
Oh,
was
okay.
like for the tour that they had to power through. He was just sitting on some crates that they had. He was just sitting on crates and performing like that. And so like they canceled the UK tour that they had, and then they canceled the North American tour. And yeah,
Man,
so
yeah, and I'll make this short, but
yeah.
a few years ago they were supposed to come here to Calgary,
Hmm.
and COVID happened. So then they postponed, and then a year later they, I don't know, I think they just postponed again, and it
Hmm.
just canceled completely.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, because that was the tour that was supposed to come over here. I had tickets with our buddy Lewis Chandler, aka Killer 111,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, it's a shame because I really want to see them. But anyways, yeah, let's rage against this machine over here against
It's
the
not too much of a tangent either because each member of Team Star, at least the bosses, all have like some sort of musical theme
yeah
attached
some
to it.
rock and shredding music.
And actually, just real quick, speaking of themes, I should have brought it up earlier with the starters, but each of the starter evolutions, they're all performers. I don't know if you
Yeah.
clued in on that. So,
Oh,
Skeledirge's signature move, he
Singer.
has like
it's a
a mic
torch
stand.
song. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Um,
that.
a magician and a dancer for
Yeah.
Sprigatito and Quaxley.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Quackleval, when I saw the dancing, I didn't know that that happened, and they were like, "Are you kidding me?" It's like, no,
Oh,
it's just straight up like salsa dancing
It's
and
for me. It's too
taking it
much.
for
It just
granted.
keeps dancing.
Yeah, it
it,
just
it, it,
keeps dancing.
if you want to go back to my VOD from last week, um,
Shameless plug.
you'll see my you'll
Kidding.
see my reaction to the full Evo, and that's the last time I played Violet. I'll go back to it eventually, but I was like, no, so bad. And a
Just shut
walking
it down.
animation in the
Yeah.
overworld is really bad too. He walks like Jack Sparrow like this.
Oh my god. Why is all the
But
rum
you have
gone?
heard of me.
Is this just gonna be a Captain Jack Sparrow stream now? I
Might
got
as
a
well be.
Where's the rum gone?
The seaman.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk more about Seaman. Uh,
Yeah.
so, Doctor Seaman over here is still like take down the establishment. But I'm not gonna really help you. I'm just gonna be in the sidelines.
Well,
Okay.
Cassiopeia won't let him help.
Yeah.
Is the
Right.
main thing.
Yeah,
is that
because
he
they're
wants
just
to help.
yeah,
She
but
doesn't want to.
they're like I don't trust you. You're looking a little sus over here. See.
Right. So
Yeah.
they like had like relegate him to like scouting and stuff like that, but he's never in the action. Things change after I believe the third one. She like they let him in on more of it and allow him to like do more stuff. Not to
Yeah.
battle the bosses, that's your job, but other
Hmm.
than that,
Yeah.
nothing too more than that.
Yeah. And also at the end of every Starfall battle, you get like a cutscene of what makes each member of Starfall like connected to the group and why they
Hmm.
drop down, why they're trying to better themselves with Team Star and why they care
Yeah.
about it, which is really cool and it makes it a little bit more like personal, I guess, where it's like I don't know if either of you guys have been bullied, but like you feel like that as a bullied person, like there's other people that have been in the same boat that you could like relate to and sympathize with, and that I kind of felt like that a little bit with this, but
Yeah.
on their outward appearance they're still just like dicks. It's just like don't tear down the thing that we have, but also we're gonna run you over with this giant oversized car.
They have a set of rules that they established when they formed Team Star, and each of the bosses adhere to those rules. One of which being they can't disband unless the person who battles them beats them and takes away their star emblem or whatever it's supposed
Their
to be.
badge.
And so they, over the years, because each cutscene goes back a year and a half, but as you're led to believe that they've been having this group for almost a year and a half now, recruiting kids from the school who are also who just like either joined Team Star in the beginning. You kind of just think that they just recruited them, but as it becomes more apparent with each cutscene, each member of Team Star was at some point a bullied child or a bullied kid at the school, and that's how Team Star grew, is by getting together all the bullied kids together. And as it's further revealed, I don't know, we'll go into the spoiler part right now. As it's further revealed, um, Team Star was formed to fight the bullies that were bullying the kids. So they were gonna rise up and fight the, challenge
Gamers
their
rise up.
bullies. And as that was about to happen, as Team Star gathered all the kids together and they got all their outfits ready, kind of like war paint, because you let Lord of the Flies, you let kids do their kid thing, they're gonna start killing each other, and stuff like that. Kids are monsters. Um, that the bullies saw that the Team Star had amassed so much power that they kind of just felt like that it wasn't worth it, and they ended up quitting the school, like all of them. And then that all that was left were the members of Team Star. And so at the end of it, it kind of seems like that the social thing of that Team Star was painted in a bad light for basically standing up for themselves. And the director of the school blamed the leader of Team Star and basically the leader of Team Star kind of like negotiated like, hey, don't punish them, it was all me, I was the ringleader, kind of thing like that. And the director agreed, and they decided to bury the whole thing. But in order to pay penance, the leader of Team Star would have to study abroad for a year and a half. And so Cassiopeia breaks that to the team over the phone, and all the Team Star is all kind of broken up, and the Cassiopeia kind of like just ends the call like, hey, there's nothing that you guys can do about it. This what's done is done, and it kind of just ends the call on them, and they're all kind of like, okay, well, whatever. We're gonna keep Team Star going because at some point the boss will come back, and that's why they to this day, or a year and a half later, are still in their bases and are still recruiting for Team Star and whatnot. And so to get towards the end of that, you get all that revealed, and poor Mr. C is like, holy shit, wait, what happened? Because as you find out, Director C was like literally just hired, as well as all the teachers were literally just hired as well. And he's like, wait, this happened at the school that I'm now in charge of. That's why all the teachers left. That's why a bunch of students left. He's all piecing this together and is kind of blown back by the whole thing. And he kind of formulates his own opinion. But after you defeat all 5 members of Team Star, Cassiopeia calls you and says, "Okay, you did great, but you have to defeat reveals that she is the former leader, or the person is the former leader of Team Star, and that in order to finish Team Star completely, they have to battle and defeat her, him, them. It's Penny. It's Penny if you haven't gotten it.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Penny.
pretty obvious. I mean, to me, I was calling it the whole time, where it's like
he was, and I was like, no, it's Cassiopeia on the phone.
Yeah, because with
it was
that,
too sus.
yeah, because I felt like every time he like go through his Team Star base, then Penny would just show up, just coincidentally on time to be like, oh, thanks for doing that. And like when the ride Pokemon show up, they just like hated it the whole time. So I just thought, like, how could you hate Miraidon? And so yeah, I was like, of course it was Penny. Like, there's no way that it wasn't. And,
fucking Penny.
Yeah.
And so when you get that call, they tell you to go to the school at night. And as you go to the school, not necessarily at night, but I believe you go at any time.
Yeah. It'll turn.
Your boy Clive, or Director C, says that he's the leader of Team Star, and that you have to battle him to do that. And so you battle him, obviously beat him, and then he's like, oh, you know what? I lied. I'm not the leader of Team Star, but I am Clive. He does reveal that he is Clive.
He's Clavel. Yeah, Clive reveals that he's Clavel. And yeah, you got a message from Penny or Cassiopeia. You don't know it's Penny at the time, and they're like, "Oh well, yeah, like you got to battle me." And you go over there, you battle Penny, and then Clive reveals himself to Penny later on,
who is also shocked.
Somehow. Yeah, she's like totally shocked. I'm like, "Oh my god, you're Clive!"
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably the campiest moment of the whole thing. It's like it's so obvious. Yeah.
But with the whole story revealed, Dr. C is kind of understanding of the situation, and is like, "Oh, don't worry, you're not in trouble. I'm not gonna
reprimand you.
I'm not gonna reprimand you, but I would like for every member and your help in helping getting every member of Team Star to come back to school, because he's like, I want the school to be a school, where people can learn and grow and do all that stuff and not be bullied and whatnot." Like, I didn't know. It's you do kind of feel bad for him, because it's not his fault. He wasn't there. He couldn't do anything. He had no way of knowing anything because they buried everything. But he wants to do his best, and you really feel like
they've got a year and a half of classes to make up for now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Summer school.
He does touch on the fact that they have modified school uniforms, and that they need to. We'll work on it a piece at a time.
Yeah. Exactly.
But that is where that story ends, and now we've done it in that order. We're going to go in reverse order, because I believe that's how everything ties up in reverse order. So with that all being done, you would go and Team Star, and Penny would reveal herself as Cassiopeia, and agree to help the kids go back to school.
Yeah.
They all were under the agreement that, like, hey, like, oh, she was just gonna leave again, but the Team Star members are like, no, why would we do that? And they're gonna go back to school, and they're all gonna be friends, and they're all happy about that. And Cassiopeia also reveals that the LP she's been giving you after
Was
every mission. No, not music LP. All right, music. I want you to
yeah.
zip it for the next 20 minutes. No more music references.
Hmm.
She's been stealing it from the schools.
She's straight up been stealing money.
She's been hacking and basically giving you LP for free without actually like owning any. Like basically printing your own money.
Oh my God, the school
Eh,
funds?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
school funds, and they're like, oh, well, that's a little bit more serious of a thing. We'll talk about that. And La Primera is like, you
Yeah.
know what? We'll talk about it. How about
Well,
you tell me about how you got this through our school system?
yeah.
And it's, Penny actually makes a funny remark about like, oh, I had like all this anime that I wanted to watch and binge all night, and then she's like, why don't you come with me? And she's like, oh, I guess. And
Hmm.
if you go to, you can actually go to Penny, Nimona, and Arvin's room at the school, and Penny's room is just decked out like full streamer mode, 3 monitors, Matrix code
Yeah.
running across her screen and stuff like that.
That's
Ooh.
funny.
Yeah, I need to check that
And
out.
you do all that with Nimona. We left her at the Elite Four. You go through the Elite Four. You fight them. Obviously, Gita has been touted as the top champion, and is no surprise there that you fight Gita for the championship battle. But
Uh-huh.
after you defeat her, Nimona comes and meets you guys outside of the Pokemon League and is like super excited to battle because now you guys are the same rank. And Nimona has been touting about this whole time that she really has been looking for like somebody to equal her strength, and she hasn't had that with the kids at school because obviously she's way more powerful than them. And the only person that she really had that she could fight would be La Primera, but she's a full-grown adult, has responsibilities, so she can't really vent her battle frustration on anybody else besides obviously you. And so she wants to challenge you to a full battle, no heart, no bar hold back, and you get the option of a couple places to recommend that they battle, but ultimately you end up battling at the center of
Mysticosa.
town. Yeah, Mesagoza, in a full 6-on-6 battle. Her team is very weird, but
Yeah.
in true Nimona fashion, after you beat her, she's like, "All right, round two. Which Pokemon am I going to use now?" And then she pulls out Pokeballs everywhere,
Yeah.
and it's
Um,
really cool. I really
yeah.
like Nimona. I really like Penny. Arvin, I really like too. Like I
I didn't
said,
care for Penny.
they're all people. I really
Hmm.
enjoy. I feel like I got to know them.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
Nomona
so
was definitely my favorite.
with that, we wrap back to Arvin's story. Where we left Arvin is that after you get the last call from Professor Sada Arturo, Arvin reveals that I think he reveals it a little early on that that's their parent. It's their parent,
Hmm.
Right. Yeah.
and the professor for each game reveals that like, hey, now that Koraidon or Miraidon is at full strength, I need you to come to Area Zero, where I'm at. And Arvin is like, Area Zero, we can't go there. That's how Mabistiff got injured, and I'm not want to risk that again. And the professor makes it like really clear, like, I really need you to come here and bring Miraidon or Koraidon with you. And so Arvin is all, and they ask Arvin specifically, and it plays on that parent string between parent and child. And Arvin's like, fine, we'll go, but we're gonna have a battle to make sure that you're ready, because I need somebody to watch my back. I think he comments on you being champion or you having enough gym battles and is like, sure, you have enough whatever, but I need to know for myself that I can trust you. And so you guys have a battle, and then after you beat Arvin, you go to the lighthouse where you first met Arvin, which is also turns out to be not his home because he lives at the school, but where he used to live because that's where the professor's lab was.
Mm.
Hmm.
And you get down there and they get into the lab, and Arvin, don't remember if she has you grab something there.
Yeah, well, they're just like, "Oh, make sure you have the book with you."
The book, yeah, and
Right.
Arvin already has it, and they make a comment on it that Arvin already took it, and they were like, okay, that's great, but come to Area Zero, and then she mentions that you need somebody who's strong and somebody who is great with tech, and obviously, as you have completed the other stories, you both have two good friends that are both very strong. One's very strong, and one is very good with tech. That being Nimona and Penny. And so you'll just tell Arvin, you get a choice to talk about which one, like Nimona or Penny, but ultimately Arvin's like, oh yeah, hey, that other person, I'll go grab them too. And you guys will meet at the entrance to Area Zero, which is by Larry's gym, probably one of my favorite gym leaders of this game.
Hmm. Oh yeah, blessed
Um,
Larry.
Just a dude.
Hmm.
just the dude. And you guys go to Area Zero. It's like really cool because like you go there and then like you go downstairs and it's basically just like a cliff. Like you're gonna jump off to get down there because there's no like staircase or elevator down there. You have to get on Miraidon or Koraidon and then jump. And there's this really cool scene where obviously Nemona's the one that takes the lead and she hops on Koraidon, then Arvin hops on, then Penny's all like, I guess we're going on an adventure, and jumps on the back, and then
Magic
you as
school
your
bus
character,
habit
like,
ass.
Arvin is like has done like a complete 180 and is like your best friend is like, let's go, pal. And then you like run, they catch you, and you guys fall into Area Zero and whatnot, like as a group of friends. And I was like, oh dude, this is really fun. Like, you've made your friends and now you're going on an adventure with them. And you make it down to Area Zero, and it's really cool. I call it Pokemon Valhalla
Mhm.
because there's like waterfalls and it's like sparkling and it's just all this lush green area.
Cool.
And you're contacted by the professor and they say, hey, I need you to, there's 4 separate labs on the way down to the center of the area, and I need you to hit a button at each one basically. And as you go down into the depths, you see like very strong level 54 Pokemon, some that you've seen, some that you haven't. And eventually you get your way to the third lab where Nemona, at least in Scarlet, it's the Paradox Jigglypuff. I don't know what it is in Violet. I can't wait to find out. But Nemona comments on it. She's like, "Oh, look, it's a cute, adorable Jigglypuff." And then it turns around and it's obviously Screamtail, so it has the huge head and the big, scary eyes. And you guys do a double battle with it. And because Arvin recognizes it as one of the dangerous Pokemon that hurt Mabastiff, is like, "Oh, get rid of it. Get it out of here." You guys battle it and beat it, and then you guys take that. And after every time you do a button, there's a lot of text, which really voice acting would have came in handy here because they are all like talking about it. Penny and Nimona talk about Arvin being, raised by himself as a kid and being basically abandoned by their parent, and being raised as a single child and whatnot. And it becomes very touchy because Arvin's like, "Don't talk about it," and they're like, "If you ever need somebody to talk with, we're all friends here," and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And you all keep going down and down until you get to the fourth lab where it looks like there's like a bunch of carnage, like a bunch of stuff's turned over, broken machines, and it's all dirty and dilapidated and whatnot. And after each time you shut a button off, the professor calls in to you. But at the last one, it's like kind of like a horror sequence where they're like saying thank you, and it's like like a rope, like a breaking machine. And Arvind is like, no, it can't be. And then the other guys are like, that was your parent, was your mom or dad like really trying to play a prank on us? That wasn't funny,
Hmm.
kind of thing. And eventually you make it down to the very bottom of Area Zero. Also, if you do the history class, there's a plaque there that you don't say anything. You just see it and you don't talk about it when you're first down there. But if you take the history class, you know what the plaque's there for. Anyway, you get down to the very bottom of the Area Zero, and there's this huge crystal in the middle, and there's also a lab there with a little console outside, and that's buried inside the crystal. And the professor tells you that they need you to push the button and unlock the lab. But once you push that button, there will be a bunch of super strong Pokemon to come out. So make sure you guys are ready. And you're like, oh, okay. And Arvin's like, all right, Nimona and you are at the front. Penny, you stay in the back, and I'll be in the middle. And then they talk to you like, hey, because Koraidon, after you get down into Area Zero, Miraidon is kind of like scared. And they're like, well, this is where it came from. Or Arvin's like, well, Area Zero is where it came from, and maybe, it's still scared and doesn't want to come out of its Pokeball, which it doesn't, because you can't use your ride Pokemon when you're going down there with all 4 of them.
Hmm.
And so then they tell you like, hey, maybe we should pull it out before we do this huge kind of thing, right? Have some more power, and you can say yes or no, but I think it's a loop. It'll tell you to do it anyway. And so
Yeah.
you take it out, and the poor thing, at least mine, I don't know what your soulless machine Miraidon looks like,
Hmm.
but Koraidon is like straight up like very scared and like is kind of like, oh, I don't know, like like I don't want to be here. It's kind of like meek and starts to back away from the lab, and you guys smash the button, and before the door opens you just hear like this roar from behind you guys, and out jumps another Miraidon or Koraidon that jumps in front of yours and is like does like a territorial roar in front of it. And then you guys are like, wait, what the hell? And Professor reveals over, I think it reveals over the phone that there was another, that they summoned 2 of them, a 2 of whatever Koraidon or Miraidon in your game. So
The
for Violet it's 2 Miraidons, and for Scarlet it's 2
what?
Koraidons. And that the reason yours left is because it lost a territorial battle to the other one. That's why it was so messed up when it fled Area
Oh.
Zero, and why
Cool.
it doesn't want to come back. And so you end up fighting it, or I think you don't end up fighting it. I think it ends up the door opens to the lab and it walks inside the lab, and then you guys are like, "What the hell just happened?" Like, that was crazy. And then Penny chimes in and is like, "Wait, didn't she say we'd have to fight like a very strong Pokemon? Do you think that was it?" And Arvin's like, "Wait, a strong Pokemon to the door we just opened?" And that's when all like like a couple of the Paradox Pokemon like run out of the lab, and you get surrounded, all of you guys, and then you have to do a double battle, I believe, with Nemona and then Arvin to fight them off. I don't think you fight with Penny. I think Penny's just kind of like freaked out the entire time,
Hmm.
which is in her character and pretty funny. And after you fight off a decent enough amount of them, they start to flee and start to run away into Area Zero. And Penny and Arvin are like, we got to stop them from like getting out and everywhere. And so they run off. But Nemona's like, hey, I'll go help them out because I don't, she doesn't say it, but she's kind of like, they seem kind of weak. Maybe we should, do something. I think Nemona actually is the first to run away because she's so excited. Like they always talk about her sense of danger doesn't exist because Nemona's like, oh wow, I hope we run into more of those Paradox Pokemon, like strong Pokemon. And Penny's like, are you kidding me? Like the first one almost like killed us. Why would
Yeah.
we want to see more?
Yeah.
And Arvin's like, just
So
be careful, and like you don't really seem like you understand what's going on here.
so what
So
happens
they're
from
all
there?
very in character, and it's you were left alone, and you walk into the lab, and inside the lab is the the legendary just like walking around and stuff like that. And as you notice, the professor is just sitting in a chair, just like kind of like this. And then as it says like, oh, person recognized, student number this, ID number that, name read, it gets up out of the chair and reveals itself to be a robot.
Hmm.
So the professor is a robot, which was like
Yeah, I thought it was weird that you like never see like the full
right,
body of the professor at all.
Hmm.
right. So the
Weird.
professor is a robot that's governed by an AI, and that's when the Koraidon and Miraidon comes back in, and they're like, okay, back in the Pokeball, they pull out a Master Ball, and it goes back in, and then they just the whole lore dump where they reveal that the original professor, Arvin's parent, which is pretty fucked up, is dead, and that
Oh,
it
Oh.
they died protecting the Miraidon from the other, or the legendary from the other one, because they both brought him out at the fourth lab, and that's where they started attacking each other, and in order to save it, they jumped in the way and they were killed in that incident.
Oh,
But they
whoa.
built, yeah, but they built the robot to help manage the lab in Area Zero,
Oh.
and so they're
huh.
dead. And Arvin
Shit.
did like barely just knew after God knows how many years. I think they say 6 years. He was raised by himself, and his
Jesus.
parents was dead the whole time,
Ah,
Wow.
right? And so they tell them that, and they're like, "We feel for Arvin, but we don't have the, we're just a robot. Even though we're like the most advanced one around, we don't have the capacity to say anything other than sorry. But it is what it is." And then they tell you that the Paradox Pokemon are from an actual time machine, which is like, this is where I was like, oh my god, like, am I playing a Pokemon game right now, or what the hell am I playing?
Hmm.
And they tell you that the professor from the respective game built it, and it was their dream to get the Pokemon from the past in Scarlet and the future in Violet. That's how they interchange it,
Right.
and that it was always their dream to like do that, and they actually got it working. And it utilizes the power of the Terra Crystal that it's surrounded by to do it, and that it sends a Pokeball into the future or into the past, catches it, and then sends it back to the past.
Hmm.
But the problem is that they did it so many times that eventually the Pokemon escaped and are, living in Area Zero, but they're not from this time, so they have adverse effects on the ecosystem of Area Zero. And that now, because obviously you faced Iron Treads or Great Tusk in the desert, that one, that they're escaping and that there's no way that they can contain them. Basically, Jurassic Park,
Hmm.
that there's no way that they can contain them, and that this time machine needs to be shut off. Otherwise, it's just going to keep catching Pokemon and bringing them to Area Zero, and then eventually the whole Paldea region will be, tossed into,
Madness.
I was like, ecological disaster or something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
They'll be all Pokemon will be out of time and stuff like that.
Hmm.
huh.
And there's no way of knowing how it's going to affect the region in the future. So this is like a problem, and the AI is like, we have to shut the time machine off. It was the professor's greatest dream. It worked, but they're gone, and if the way that this keeps going, there's nothing we can do about it. But I can't shut the machine off because I'm just a robot. It has to be done by somebody. And it has to be done using a key, which just so happens to be the Scarlet and Violet book that Arvin has from the lab, which is why the robot needed you to go there and grab it. And so it leads you into the time machine. It's this really cool, like Terminator 2, like reflection of like like hexagons everywhere, and you see the device in the middle and whatnot. And so the AI is talking to you about it and telling you to like this was always what the professor wanted. They devoted their entire life to it and whatnot. And they accomplished so much doing the Terra orbs and building the robot and doing all that stuff. And that it's sad, but it has to be done. And then the AI is like, it's by the machine, and it's like, okay, time for the last bit. And and you're kind of just standing there like, okay. And the AI is like, hey, guess what? When you try to destroy the machine, the self-preservation defense is going to kick in because like this is what the professor did to make sure that their dream never got destroyed, and you have to battle the robot because they're programmed to defend it at all costs. And so they're like, when you put the book in, it's going to sense the hostility because the professor you're not a part of the research staff that was originally here. It's going to recognize you as an enemy, and I'm going to have to be the one to throw you out of the lab to protect the machine. And so you put the book in, the machine starts to activate, and it actually does summon a Pokeball from wherever, either the future or the past. And the AI machine is standing like because it raises the platform to keep itself away from you, and that's when you have to fight the professor with a full team of Paradox Pokemon from the respective versions. So for me, I had Sada and all the ones from the past. For you guys, it'll be Turo and all the ones from the future. Which, if you're not ready for it, is a pretty fucking tough fight.
Cool.
Because they're all like basically mega Pokemon. Each of them have base stats of like 560. I won't go into what they are, so that way you guys can at least have that element of surprise.
Yeah.
But it is a full team of 6, and it is pretty hard.
Okay.
Nice.
Noted. But yeah, so you beat the professor.
You beat the robot, but then the robot starts to terrestrialize and starts to like turn into like yeah. I'm like the story gets crazy. It starts to like get crystallized, and that's when you have to fight the box legendary. And then it's a cool fight, but it goes into the stupid thing where it's still a kids game, so they don't want it to be too hard. So they make you use the AI locks all Pokeball. Everybody shows up, by the way, after you beat the first battle. But the AI can lock the Pokeballs to anybody that's not the professor. So everybody tries to throw their Pokeball out to fight the legendary, but they all have like this little lock around them, so the Pokemon can't come out. And so you get like this. You're in the fight, and you're like in the trainer thing, but there is no Pokemon, and it has the options fight, bag, run, and stuff like that. And so you, as an intellectual, have to be astute and be like, what if the professor's Pokemon are the only one that works? How are we gonna fight? Well, you have the professor's Pokeball as a key item for the legendary, and so you have to fight mano a mano, legend versus legend, and it works. But they have that friendship mechanic where it comes in and you can't really lose it, and then you have to terrestrialize your legendary in order to beat that one, and you'll have the Terra type that's super effective and that'll win the battle. Anyway, you'll beat it, but the AI still can't shut down the time machine. And it's kind of revealed that the AI is kind of like growing its own conscious and whatnot, and it's like, we can't destroy the machine as long as I am present to protect it. So either you'll have to destroy me, which Arvin's like, well, we can't do that, you're the only family like I have left. But the AI makes the decision for him. They make it pretty clear that only items can travel back and forth in time, not people. And the AI comes to the conclusion that it's not a person, so that it can make the time jump to the past, or the future. So it teleports itself through time, and with that, the machine is shut off, and the threat of more Paradox Pokemon coming through is snuffed out for now.
Gotcha.
Did they consider maybe just unplugging it from the wall?
Yeah,
No,
have they
because
tried
it's
turning it off
powered,
and on again?
They do talk about that they can't shut it off because it's powered by the Terra Crystal
It's
that
powered by
powers all of
God.
the terrestrializing throughout the region, kind of like how the Dynamax energy stuff.
Right.
And
Of course,
that because the lab they built the lab in the crystal to always have a power source, so that way it would never be able to shut off. Because they like, and kudos to the professor. They're super fucking smart. They built the AI, they built the lab and the thing, they built the machine so it could never be shut off and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a really touching thing with Arvin because it's kind of just like, I'm sorry for not being there for you, and I tried my best, and it's like, you didn't try your best. You called him on the phone for 6 years, but whatever.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sad as they teleport through time, and Arvin's kind of just like, well, that's that. And as you guys leave Area Zero in a cutscene, and everybody's talking about it, and as you can tell, Arvin's kind of just like dragging himself along because he literally just lost. He went through his parents dead, his he thought his hat was a robot, and now that robot is gone forever. So Arvin's really truly on his own, and all that's kind of like just coming on him at the last second. And Nimona kind of picks up on it and is like, you know what, let's take the long way home. And then Penny also picks up on it, and everybody kind of just like, it's like, let's just go in a random direction. We don't have to go back to school right now. And so they do that.
Let's have a sandwich. That'll make you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're kind of just like walking pace with Arvin, and Arvin does that, and he gives you like a little shoulder tap, like your best buds, and like, let's do it. It ends on a happy note with you guys, walking off into the sunset on another adventure with the legendary.
Okay.
So and that is the story of Scarlet and Violet. If I had to rank it, honestly, I'd put it up there with Black and White.
For story, of course.
For story, of course. Yeah. I just like, it really took me back and was like, wow.
Yeah,
that was a roller coaster.
Man, like with
the
past few games, like I haven't given a shit about the story for a long time, so I just kind of mashed through dialogue. But yeah, like hearing that, and even what I've experienced, it's like maybe I should start paying more attention, because there's actually some decent writing finally.
Yeah, because that's the next thing I got to do. I literally stopped after I battled Arvin at the lighthouse, and I heard that you have to get the Violet book. That's where I stopped. So everything after that is all new to me, and I'm excited to like go into Area Zero. I'm excited to do all that stuff myself. But
it's super exciting. I literally it took this game from like what I was thinking, because I was like, this game's a 5. Like everything leading up until like the story and just like the pure like going to the school and catching Pokemon, I was like, it's 5. It's a standard Pokemon adventure. But with the stories of Team Star, Arvin, and just Nimona's personality carrying you through the gym challenge, it really started to raise it up. And at the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm champion. The dog's okay. Team Star thing is resolved. I was like, all right, this game's like a 6.5, 7. But then that added story with Area Zero and everything just really like blew it out of the water for me. And I was like, man, what the hell?
Yeah.
So, with everything being said, first impressions a week in, what would you guys rate Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
I'll go last because I kind of just went through a tirade, but you guys go first.
Go ahead, Alex.
Okay. I would give it right now. I'm giving it I'm gonna give it a 7 right now, because the only things that I'm really like reeling back on are just performance issues, graphical issues, and all that stuff. And especially with the drastic dips in frame rate, that just takes me out of the immersion so bad. It's like I feel like a lot of time I'm laughing and just getting frustrated by how ugly the game could be. But other than that, like, it's one of the most fun games I've ever, like, one of the most fun Pokemon games that's ever come out. And the story's just been so good. And hearing all that, like, I'm more incentivized to go into Area Zero. Maybe we'll have that tonight. Wink, wink. But,
why I bought Violet. Like, I literally was like, I want to get there and experience it through Violet just so I can experience that story again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to play through all this again, too.
Yeah, so right now my current rating is a 7, but we'll see in a few months out if they put any patches in it. Maybe that rating will go higher, because everything right now is just being marred by technical issues. But Joel, if you want to go next, what do you think?
Yeah, basically, I don't want to say, that's what he said, but I just want to basically echo exactly the criticisms and pros and cons that we've all mentioned tonight. I would say, yeah, my rating pretty much like a 6.5, 7. I'm just thinking back a few years when Sword and Shield came out. That first week of me playing that, I felt kind of underwhelmed. But with this one, I'm like it's not a perfect game, obviously, but for a Pokemon game and like how how everything kind of functions aside from the performance issues. I'm pretty impressed so far, and I think once I finish the story, post game and all that stuff, I think that number will just go higher,
Yeah,
especially with DLC if that ever comes out too.
for sure.
I should have showed this earlier on, but I think I showed you guys a picture through Discord, but I guess for stream, I got these little patches for pre-order bonus. These little
Oh
starter
yeah,
patches.
that's
Hmm.
cool.
They got like kind of a fabric look to them, but they're stickers on the back, so
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
they're
cool.
they're
Yeah.
neat. And a lanyard. I don't know if you
Oh,
can see
that's
that
awesome.
super well,
I
but
love that lanyard. I want to try and get one myself.
yeah, it's got some of the Pokemon on it, and then
Mhm.
Scarlet Violet colors.
That's
Hmm.
cool.
But yeah, though, I still think like top tier games for me, like Crystal is just nostalgic because that's what I started with. Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black and White / Black and White 2, and then I think Scarlet and Violet are just about under that. It's
Hmm.
kind of hard to tell right now, but
Yeah. We'll
anyways,
we'll
that's
do
what
a
I think of it
follow-up
so far.
review. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Uh,
a year from now maybe.
exactly. Bono, with all that being said, because I'm curious of what your final rating is going to be, because you've been all over the place. What is your first impressions rating?
My critic rating is saying this game is a 6. Is an average Pokemon experience
Say
with
as you.
some
You're Bono. You are Bono.
with
Fuck the
with
ratings. Fuck the
with
critics.
with some features taken away from games that it's had before, added new features that nobody asked for, that some are hit and miss entirely. So the critic in me is saying 6. The Pokemon fan in me is saying like an 8.5. I feel I
Wow.
feel like I actually had an adventure with this game. I actually feel like I had a from a point A to a point B with tons of events in the middle that weren't just badge 1, badge 2, badge 3, badge 4, badge
Hmm.
5, badge 6. Because if I did that, that would literally just be like it like using an example, it's literally Sapphire badge 1, badge 2, badge 3, badge 4 with no story other than the evil team and then that's it.
Hmm.
But with this game, you have the three stories that all tie together in the end that give you a complete story from beginning to end with just all three of them. But then they go that extra distance, and there's the whole Area Zero thing, which isn't some kind of like how the Calyrex thing. But that story was great, but that was like in a DLC that wasn't part of the main package. That is in the main package of this game.
Hmm.
So for me, the
Hmm.
critic is like 6.5 for all the graphical issues, the loss of features, the performance issues, and just the base experience of the game.
Hmm.
But the fan in me is like it's fun. The soul is there. Catching Pokemon actually felt fun, and like I said, the story is really what props this game up for me. It's built on a solid foundation,
Hmm.
at least in terms of that. Everything else is kind of just like it's
Yeah.
faltering, but the
Right.
solid, if we're thinking of like a tent, the in the middle, it's holding it up still.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, I
Yeah.
bought both of the games,
Hmm.
and I powered through this one, and I think I want to say 50 hours. And honestly, I
Wow.
don't know when I'm going to play Violet, but I really want to, just so
Right.
I can get to that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be getting into that pretty soon. I'm very excited to get into it, especially the way that you sold me on it. So
Oh yeah, it
yeah.
sells itself.
But I think that's pretty much it for this episode of Babblers. So I gotta
Yeah.
say to everybody that's watching us live, to people that are watching us on the VOD when it gets posted to YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the two people that followed as well. That was very appreciated.
I know
Uh
we shot on it, but Joel, we
yeah.
should probably do some raids at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
Let me know, especially with the Eevee stuff that's happening. If
yeah.
you
Oh,
you guys want to do
Charizard
some
for
of that.
sure.
Yeah.
Charizard for sure.
Yeah.
We'll
Mhm.
have a day. We'll set some
Yeah.
time aside.
Definitely.
I
And
need to train up for that one though.
absolutely.
Right.
And also, that's also something. Joel, thank you so much for joining us for this. This
Hey,
was
no
I
worries.
was really really excited to have you on the show, especially after like finding out that you. I mean, because I've been watching your streams, like I've been clicking on them, and
Mhm.
after you did the thumbnail artwork for us for YouTube and for my avatar on here.
Thanks for not making me too fat on that
Yeah.
one, by the way.
I
uh,
like to highlight the good features.
yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Don't worry, I'm kind of chunky down here. I like to keep it
Right.
hidden.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Joel, for joining us.
Oh, no worries. Man.
Yeah,
Thank you for
and
having me.
of course. And for those that are watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, share the video, let people know, let us know what you think.
Twitch.tv/JoelyOly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, twitch.tv/MrJoelyOly. Go check him out. He's
Yeah.
also on my suggested streamers. But yeah, with that being said, we will catch you in the next episode of Babblers. Later.